Today on
Doomed!
Hello. Is anybody out there? Are there any survivors? If you're listening to this broadcast, know that here in New York City, there are some of us who have not, I repeat, not been zombified by the fake emergency broadcast system that activated the 5G in the COVID vaccines that turned everybody into the living dead. Well, that would probably be how this broadcast would start tonight on October 4th, 2023. If the conspiracy theories ended up being true. But thankfully they did not. So instead, tonight on Doomed with Matt Binder, what you have is an episode where I discuss those ridiculous conspiracy theories with all of you. So yeah. My God, every time you think you've heard it all in the conspiratorial online world, conspiracy theorists come at you with something new. I do have a special last-minute guest joining us on this show, and he will be joining us shortly. But I just wanted to sort of break this down first, because you might be aware, because if you have like a smartphone, you pretty much received, without a doubt, I think, maybe some people didn't get it for some reason or other, I don't know, but most of you in the United States of America received this emergency alert broadcast on your smartphone as like a notification today. And it came with like, the warning like, burr, burr, and your phone vibrated and it basically read as such. National Alert. This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. The purpose is to maintain and improve alert and warning capabilities at the federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial levels, and to evaluate the nation's public alert and warning capabilities. No action is required by the public. So, this is something that's been done before. It's been a while. There was the last national practice alert sent out by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The first one, I don't know if it was the first one, but the last one went out in 2018. So it's been a few years. But I don't know if you recall, maybe I'm showing my age here. I'm sure there's some people who are watching who are even older than me. But for you youngins, I don't know if you'll recall, but like back in the day, if you were up 1, 2 in the morning, watching, the late night shows or whatever infomercials came on after, sometimes the screen would turn into like the color board, and there'd be like a black, like news ticker going across, and your TV would go, and that was a test of the emergency broadcast alert system. But that was on TV, when like that was the best way to reach people, like in the 90s and early 2000s, back before everybody had a cell phone. Now everyone has a mobile device on them. So in the case of an emergency, the best way to warn people in this country is to send them a notification on their phone. If there's a natural disaster, it's a great way to get in touch with people to let them know that to evacuate or whatever the FEMA needs them to do or suggest that they do. This was just a test. It was announced in advance, so it shouldn't have come to surprise to most people. This was something that was going around online for a while. There were memes and jokes, even before the conspiracy theories. But then, of course, there were conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories, I think, are best summed up by this viral tweet that went around on Twitter, aka X, Elon Musk's social media disinformation platform. And I want to say, this isn't this was going around. Like, this wasn't like, oh, you're picking a tweet. This is just the most viral one that went big in, like, mainstream social media. Among conspiracy theorists, this was conversation that was going on. This was being spread, and this was being talked about in conspiratorial circles well before it even hit, like the mainstream on social media, where people were joking about it and laughing about it. So the main viral tweet here is this one right here from a user named Gina Shira. And of course, her Twitter handle is at Gina Shira 81815. Nothing says legit like a bunch of numbers in your username on Twitter, right? But anyway, Gina goes, this was September 30th. And I was looking in her feed, and she had actually posted about this multiple times before this, actually. I think September 25th was another one. So, again, conspiratorial circles were talking about this for a while, for weeks. But this is the one that went viral, so this is the one I'll show you. Turn off your cell phones on October 4th, says Gina. The EBS, that's Emergency Broadcast System, is going to, quote-unquote, test the system using 5G. Of course, this will activate the Marburg virus in people who have been vaccinated. And sadly, some of them, excuse me, I misread. And sadly, turn some of them into zombies. And for those of you who don't know, the Marburg virus is a rare but severe hemorrhagic fever, which affects both people and non-human primates. Why it's in... Actually, I wonder, is this a... I guess this is something that was going around. The Marburg virus. Amazing. It was viewed over 5 million times, 5 million impressions on Twitter. So this is something that was going around, obviously. And again, it goes beyond that. And I think the best way to really show how this affected people in, like, the real world, like, not just like weirdos online who tweet about it. Maybe you'll think, oh, they're just trying to build clout or whatever. The best way to sort of understand how this affects people in the real world is to hear experiences from people who have to, like, deal with these conspiracy theorists, like, offline, like family members, friends, or in the case of one individual on Reddit, if you are their tenant. See, this Reddit post came across my my desk top, my desktop. I made it sound like someone, like, threw paperwork on my desk, but I came across this Reddit post. This is from days before that tweet went viral too, I should note. So this Reddit post came across my screen. I came upon it, and I almost didn't believe it. But I was looking through the guy's, like, the Redditor, the Redditor poster's, like, history, and he seems legit. Like, this is a long-standing account. It does not... it's way too on point and on the money. If anyone's ever dealt with a conspiratorial thinker, the way these texts are. Anyway, this Redditor, Games Are All Alike Now, I believe that's his how you say his screen name, posted in the Landlord subreddit 3 days ago. Is my landlord allowed to do this? And along with the post, he attached screenshots of what he says is text messages with his landlord, Gary, who seems to have come across this conspiracy theory. The one where the emergency broadcast alert system is going to somehow activate send signals through 5G or something and activate the microchips that the vaccinated have in their bodies. Because if you'll recall, this is a throwback to a 2020 conspiracy where there were microchips, secret microchips to track us and control us, hidden in the COVID-19 vaccines. And this is going to, the emergency alert broadcast sent over 5G, of course, is going to activate those microchips in the vaccinated and zombify us. And this was going to be the beginning of what they've been saying is going to happen. All the vaccinated are going to die soon. They've been saying this soon, by the way, ever since 2020. And many of those dates have come and gone. And sadly, I'm still here. I mean, it'd be fun to be a zombie, honestly. But here are some of these text messages from Gary, the landlord of this Redditor who posted this. Everyone, not sure if you have heard, there will be an emergency broadcast system, EBS, this Wednesday at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. It seems most don't know. I've been following this for the last few weeks, and the concern has been brewing about it. I'm going to text everyone about it today, thinking to just suggest avoiding all communication devices, cell, computer, TV, and radio. For everyone, especially the COVID vaxxed, for reasons I can't get into in this message, but am happy to elaborate with links for any part of you may be wondering about. But now I'm also learning that even most newer appliances may be at risk. Some may cause fires. Now this is, I don't know, he must have been in some deep conspiratorial world to find the extra bit about all devices. But he goes on. But now also, some may cause fires or fry all the appliances, etc. So we had decided for not only everybody's safety, but also the safety of all of our multiple appliances we furnish for all the apartments, to possibly have to replace nearly 100 appliances on Thursday doesn't sound like a risk we are willing to take. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but we feel it will be in everyone's best interest for the whole building to be shut down for a brief 2-hour period on Wednesday. Oh my God. This is greater than the guarantee everyone in their lease. This is greater than the 24-hour guarantee everyone in their lease of notification that we intend to enter your apartment and shut off your power for this time frame between 1:30 and 2 p.m. Then we will return and restore your power after 4 p.m. Frozen items should be fine if you leave the freezer closed. Thank you. It's all a solid block of ice, keeping it nice and cold in there. No worries. It will be daylight, so no need for lights, etc. It also is recommended that you inform others of this situation. For the vaxxed, it may even be potentially fatal. We apologize for any inconvenience. Good thing it's only for a short 2 hours. If you are here, I highly recommend you not just turn the power off with your cell phone, but turn Wi-Fi and cell reception off. Turn on airplane mode, then power off the phone. Wow, turn on airplane mode first, then power off the phone. You don't want your cell pinging them back. I would even wrap the phone in aluminum foil for safe measure. If you leave the premises during this time, I'd follow the same idea for cell and also stay away from any computer, TV, or radio that may be on. I wouldn't even look at any screens. Light can also be turned against us. Light can be turned against us. Let me know if you'd like any details or any further questions. To which the Redditor responded, Gary, I work from home. I cannot have my power shut down for 3 hours. Gary goes on. If the power went out in the building during a storm, I'm sure you would find a way to cope. Acts of God happen. Unfortunately, acts of terrorism. Jeez. Perhaps you should set up shop somewhere else for those 2 hours. I'm giving you plenty of time to plan. I might suggest you do a little research to learn of the concerns. I apologize, but it is a grave concern. There are coffee shops in town. Perhaps a friend. a friend's house, etc. All right. Well, there's an update to that situation. And that Redditor posted it on Reddit. But instead of just reading those texts, at the last minute, something came together here right before we went live on this show. And I am now going to ring the Redditor who posted that, the tenant of Gary, the conspiracy theory believing landlord. So let's get him on the line here.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
thank you so much for joining me. Can I just ask, by the way, how do you say your username on Reddit? I was messing it
Uh,
up.
yeah, it's games are all I know. Yeah, it's games are all I know.
Games are all I know. Got it.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
that's the one.
And how do I I'm sorry. And what's your name? What would you like to go by?
My name's Justin. You can just call me Justin.
Okay.
hmm
Hey Justin. So
I liked your little brief recap of the first text. Trust me, I'm as dumbfounded as everyone else in here. As just as dumb. Like even now, it just blows my mind the text that I received. I wish it was fake. Like that. Like I'm seeing people in your chat saying, I don't know, it sounds kind of suspicious. I wish it was. I wish it was fake. It is not fake. Yeah, there was a huge thing today. It's been a very stressful day for me. In the update that I posted.
so I got yeah. So
Yeah.
first thing I was going to ask you. I'm glad you brought it up. I was going
Yeah.
to ask you. What's the deal here? Like, is this is it, let's start with this. Has Gary the landlord ever shown himself to be a conspiracy theorist like this before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He sends me he this isn't even the first time he sent me like a text like this. Like he is very like anti-bank. He like thinks the banks are like out to get him and steal his money. He forces me to pay rent by check because he thinks like there's going to be some like government shutdown that's imminent. And I mean, I can understand like concerns with like like the economy collapsing, but when it comes to like stuff like this and like other things, like oh my gosh, the things I've heard today, I've been talking, that Reddit post that I made today, it has allowed me to meet other people in my building because they saw the post. And I've actually been messaging a lot of people that have dealt with Gary, and some of the stuff I have heard is absolutely insane. It is absurd. I couldn't believe it.
That's so. Give me an example if you can. If you have something.
Uh, yeah, like this one guy, he's like the top comment right now on the Reddit post. Him and his wife have lived here apparently, like above him, like two floors up, and he said that my landlord Gary had come up to him one time while him and his friend were outside chilling on a bench, and Gary like offered him money to get rid of one of the tenants like on some like hitman stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like that just sounds like that needs to go to the police, man. He was like, he told me that he was just scared to go to the police about it. And I just like, I'm like, man, like I feel like you should definitely go to the police about something like that. And it scares me because I'm still living here. I live on my own. I don't have like a gun or anything like that, so I have really no means to defend myself in a situation like that. So it's definitely really terrifying, but I mean, I'm trying to make the best of it at the moment. And uh yeah, that the update is just such a long read. I typed that up like 30 minutes. I had to wait until my power came back on just to go back to work. Actually, my job informed me, my manager informed me that the work that I had been forced to take off, I literally can't get paid for it. It's considered unpaid. So I'm forced to just not make money off of that because he turned my power off for some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It just blows my mind. Yeah, it's crazy.
So what was your so So how long did he? So he gave you this more than 24-hour notice. He said. So
Yep.
he sends this text message. What's going through your mind when you first read this? Were you familiar that there was this conspiracy theory out there before your landlord told you about it?
I literally, before that day, it was Sunday. I was just chilling, gaming, just enjoying time with my cats and no worries. And then he just sent that out of the blue, just out of nowhere. He does that sometimes. I don't know why he does that. He'll just like randomly bring up like some random conspiracy theory just out of the blue. It comes out of nowhere.
Is he so is this a like a apartment building with like multiple tenants?
Yes, it's like a whole complex. It's just a straight across complex. There's like 50 to 100 people in the buildings, and like a lot of them were just outside like after he turned off the power. And I went out there like I was wanting to do something about it, because as soon as my power went off, I looked outside the window and I literally watched him walking away from my power breaker, and I'm like, yo, like, what's going on here? And then I called my electric company and they told me that I was obligated to go down there and like flip the switch, because I pay for the electric. He doesn't pay for it for any of the tenants. And so I went down there to try to flip the switch, and he had put a padlock over my breaker switch, and there was only one padlock over my breaker switch. None of the other ones had a padlock over them. It was absurd to me. I could not believe it.
Oh, because
So I couldn't.
I guess he was. I'm guessing you let him know that you planned on doing something about it.
Yeah, I actually gave him a message. I put it in my update in like one of the last pictures, that I didn't give him consent to mess with my electric unless it was for repair or maintenance. In my lease with him, it's literally like he can only give a 24-hour notice beforehand, and he can only come in and like turn off my electric if it's for repair or maintenance, unless there is an emergency. Okay, in his mind, he thought it was an emergency. Okay. In everyone else's minds in the entire apartment complex, it was not an emergency. So that's why I'm going to be reaching out to an attorney tomorrow about it. It's just absurd what I've had to deal with today. I just wouldn't. You couldn't even think of like a movie like that. Like, it's just insane. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds crazy. So, it, what was like? So first of all, is he like the sole owner of this building, or is there like a company behind it?
I found out more about that today, because I had asked him or I think on Sunday, if he was the owner, and he said to me that he was the owner. But I asked some of the tenants outside and some of like the longer standing tenants, and he said, and a lot of them were saying like his wife or like his girlfriend or something actually like spent most of the money on the building, and he's kind of like a co-owner or a property manager in a way. So I don't really know at this point if he's actually owner or not. I actually just don't know, but he told me he was, so I just had went with that, because I didn't have any other information to go off of at the time.
Right. So today happens. The the
It's
emergency alert goes out. What do you know what your landlord was doing at this time?
yeah, so at that point, whenever it went off, I was actually outside standing next to my car. My car was like right next to the breakers. We had I had called the police because my phone was about to die, so I made sure to get a police officer over before my phone had died, and the
You had
police
planned
officer.
that. You had planned it that way, so your phone wasn't on when the emergency alert went out, so it wouldn't zombify
Oh,
you.
yeah, yeah. I just
Just in
gotta be
case.
scared of that. Gotta be scared.
Just in case.
But yeah, the police officer showed up, and he spoke with my electric company, and the electric company confirmed with the officer that I pay the electric bill and that he can't turn it off. And the police officer was like, "All right, that's all I need to know." So he went inside towards my landlord's apartment, because my landlord actually lives in the apartments with us. He lives here. So I guess he just turned off everyone else's, but left his. I don't know, but um, the police officer went in there, and I was just hanging out by my car, and that's when the alert went off whenever the police officer was inside. As soon as I heard it go off, I was like, oh my God. I was like, what is that police officer witnessing right now? I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything because they were both inside. Um, so I just kept, so I just went up to the front of the building because the breakers are all in the back, and the police officer ended up driving around, and he told us what happened. He was speaking to my landlord, and apparently when the alarm went off, he freaked out. Like he had like a whole panic attack, and like was like barricading himself in the apartment and not speaking to the officer. He had like a whole just absolute psychotic moment where he just like completely shut down mentally and just ran for his life. Apparently, that's what the cop told me. I was like, oh my gosh, I could not believe it, man. I just, it was so absurd to me. Just even
That's
talking about it right now is just, it's so surreal. Like, I just can't believe someone like this exists. I like, and I don't want to like make him, I don't like, he could be dealing with some mental health issues. I don't know. I don't really know him that well, so I don't want to like talk bad about him. It's just, I'm just stating like what's happening in my own experience and like what happened with me. And I don't think like he deserves to be like attacked per se, but he did cause a lot of issues for a lot of people today. So yeah, it's, I'm just kind of going over what I've experienced and what I was told by the officer.
I mean, I would imagine. I mean, is he gonna give you a break on your rent, being that you should tell him you lost money based on.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. We
You
were
can't afford
sitting,
the rent. You can't afford the
yeah,
rent now because
uh,
Gary cost you money.
yeah, and I brought that up. I'm like, how am I supposed to pay my rent if you're forcing me to not work? I can't, like, I have to make a living here. And um, we were outside still like about an hour later, and he still hadn't turned the power on. And I went over to the mailboxes to talk like with one of his technician people that were out there just hanging out. And my landlord walked by, and I was like, Gary, turn on my power, like turn on my effing power. Like I was getting really mad, and he was like, no, you got to wait until 4. And it was like 3 o'clock, and I'm like, dude, I am not waiting another hour for my power to come back on. And I started yelling at him like really aggressively. I was like, turn on my effing power, Gary, now. And I was just going at him. And he started walking up to me, getting in my face, spouting some conspiracy theorist stuff. And um a woman had walked up with her kids, and she was like, I got kids, Gary. And I was like, and all he said was, yeah, I understand. And I was like, Gary, you don't understand. The power would never have been shut off if you understood. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make sense. It blew my mind. I just couldn't believe like his thought process behind all of this. It's just crazy.
He has no. There was no uh reaction from him when 2:20 p.m. came and went, and there was no zombification of his tenants, no exploding appliances, no just
He
just just say
it
la vie, just
literally, I'm not joking when I say this. He just walked around casually around the apartment complex like nothing happened afterwards. Like he tried to act so normal, like nothing, like he did absolutely nothing. He was completely innocent. He tried walking past all of us out there like he did absolutely nothing wrong. Like I just couldn't believe that he had the audacity to just act like he saved us or something. Like I'm pretty sure in his mind he thinks like he saved everyone today or something, or like he's some superhero. Like I just don't understand the thought process behind it. It's just insane, man.
so you
He
will. Oh, go ahead. No, keep going.
no, you're no, it's fine. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry about
You
that.
go
No.
ahead.
He's basically just moving on as if nothing happened.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy.
is there going to? I believe I had seen that you were looking into some sort of legal action.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a consultation from an attorney tomorrow about this. I do plan on filing a lawsuit if that's what an attorney would recommend me to do. I'm probably gonna get some other tenants in my building about like to join me in this as well. Because me personally, like he's done other stuff in the past. He's gotten into an actual physical altercation in my kitchen. He's almost hit me with his car. He's just absolutely psychotic sometimes. And for me, today was just crossing boundaries. And I decided that today was enough. I'm done with it. I'm gonna fight back on this. I'm not having any more of it. And sadly, the problem is that I live in Kentucky, which is a landlord dominated state. So a lot of landlords are able to run over tenants like this, and it causes stuff like this to happen to people like me that just can't afford that legal um, representation that some people need. And I feel bad for some of the other people that I've talked to in my apartment complex, because from what I'm hearing, some people have had like worse situations with him, and it just seems like he's not getting reprimanded for anything that he's doing, and I just feel like it's really unfair and not just at all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this guy just uh basically just decided to shut off everybody's electricity when they pay for it on their own, and that's
Yeah,
for
it's
no
insane,
reason
man.
either. It's not like there was something like real. It's not like something actually was occurring that needed for this to be happening. Like this was based off a conspiracy theory. Like for me, I would be, and I'm sure you're thinking of this, and as well as everyone else in the building, I'd be concerned about in the future, and if he escalates even more and
Yeah,
more to the point where
that.
to
Mhm.
stop a conspiracy theory from happening,
Yep.
he tries to harm someone in the building.
That is what I'm truly terrified of at the moment. I plan on moving out as soon as financially possible. I literally can't afford to move out right now. So I mean, I kind of just have to like sit here and wait until I'm able to, and I'm able to find something that's stable. But I mean, the only thing you can do is try at the end of the day, and that's what I'm gonna do. It just, I don't know, man. It's just terrible. It's just a terrible situation that we have cops come in 3 times, and they just tell us afterwards that there's nothing they can do. They literally had to like basically bluff him to go out there and turn the electric back on. And it just sounds so absurd to me. Like they didn't even have like a legal. They didn't even force him to do it. They couldn't arrest him. It's just so insane that that's allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it actually didn't surprise me when I read that part of your experience in the update, because you find once you deal with one of these things that the police actually do very little when it comes to what they consider to be like civil disputes.
Yeah.
Like this is a business disagreement between you and your landlord. So this is for the courts to deal with, not for them, because they only
Hmm.
deal with stopping crime.
And that's literally what I've been told multiple times over the past 3 days to by multiple people that I've reached out to. The cop, like the cop himself that I actually spoke with, like the main cop, he was actually really cool, and like he understood like what was happening, and he said he was telling me like my landlord's an absolute just crazy. Like he agreed with us, and he was like, you guys need to get out of here, and just like all this stuff about how my landlord was crazy. The cop himself was actually really understanding, and he wanted to help. Like I could truly like sense that he wanted to help. But it's still, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still incredibly frustrating that like I couldn't see that man get put in the back of a police cruiser. I can't lie. I wanted to see it so bad. He
Right,
deserved it. He
right.
caused me so much stress today. I can't even begin.
Yeah, I mean, I it would just boggle my mind about like what's he gonna do in the future? What is he gonna read online that's gonna alter my
Yeah.
life
Yep.
tomorrow? You know, like
Yeah, that's my main concern right now is that next text that he's gonna send, because I just don't know at this point. It's
right.
just up in
Can
the
I
air.
can I ask you? I'm not gonna ask for like I'm not looking for like specific details about this guy,
Yeah,
but
you're fine.
but basic demographics I think is helpful in terms of conspiracy theorists. Can
He's
you?
about what you would expect him to be.
Okay, is he? So he's an older gentleman.
Yep, yeah. I think he's in his like 50s maybe. He's got
Okay,
glasses,
so he
gray
could be
hair.
he could be a Gen Xer, right? I mean, he's in that
From
range.
Yeah, from what I think he's a bit of a Gen Xer from what I mean, all the
Yeah.
signs point to it at this point. Like just the mindset alone from him. I just can't believe that someone of his mental fortitude can be put into generational wealth like this. It's just absolutely
Oh,
insane
so
to
that's
me.
where the building comes from. It's passed down to him.
I believe so. I'm honestly not too sure. I mean, either way, he's still considered an owner of the building, which is absolutely absurd to
Right.
me that he can even do something like this. Like, I just don't understand it.
Right. Any idea what his politics are? Has he ever shared political? I mean,
he
I could pretty much guess, but
Yeah, he's heavily right winged. He's told me in the past. He's come over in my apartment when he's repairing something. He'll tell me not to drink water bottles because they have microplastics in them. He he's given me like USB sticks, and he tells me like watch out for big pharma. They're coming after you, and just all this, just everything under the tinfoil hat sun that you can think of. He has brought it up to me as a tenant, and I just want nothing to do with it. I just want to stay in my own lane and work and just live my life. And he has made it incredibly difficult for me. I like, even like, he could literally be left-winged Democrat, and I would still want to be left alone. You know what I
right,
mean?
of
Like,
course,
I
yeah.
like
Who
it's
wants
not
to
even a
talk of this stuff with their
it,
landlord? Right.
it's not even a matter of like political views. Like, at the end of the day, I'm thinking logically about it, and I just want to be left alone, and I only want to talk business with you, not none of this logical stuff. It's just insane, man.
Right. Yeah. I, you know, again, like you said, you have people like questioning, like, if I didn't see the text messages that you posted, I would have actually probably thought your story could have been made up. But then I saw those texts and I was like, the spelling, the cadence, and the way the writing
Yep.
was,
Hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
if you're seeped into covering conspiracy theorists, you know exactly how they write and how they talk about things. The whole secretive part, like
Yeah.
the vaccinated might be even die. If you need more information about that, reach out to me and I'll
That
send you a link.
that was the most concerning part to me, is like, is he gonna do something to me tomorrow?
All right.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm vaccinated. I told him as well, right before. I was like, Gary, I'm vaccinated and I'm still here. Like, what do you have to say about that? And he was like, well, there were other concerns than that, and that was his excuse. It's just excuses upon excuses with these types. It's
You should have followed up with, yeah, and about those other concerns, they also did not happen.
I at that point, that was like the end of it all, and I was just done with it. I wanted to go back in my apartment and just cool down, because I was getting very heated with him in that moment. It was just insane, man. I don't. This isn't something I would wish upon my worst enemy, dealing with a guy like this. It like I just have no words for it, honestly. I don't know. I'm just trying to work hard and get somewhere in my life, maybe get a house, but now he's making that very difficult for me. And I'm at this point, I'm expecting an eviction notice on my door tomorrow, because
Right, right.
that's what I've been told, is that in the past, whenever he's gotten into verbal altercations with people, he'll put a eviction notice on their door. So I mean, I don't really have anywhere to go. I have two cats, so it's kind of tough financially, you know.
I'm not sure where you live, but you might have strong tenants' rights depending on where exactly that is. And even if he tries to evict you, there's a whole process in which you could stay there for probably a enough time until you find somewhere else. But again, I don't know where you are.
Yeah, I live in Kentucky, so it's tough out
That's
here. It's
right.
tough out
Yes,
here.
it might
So
not have those yes
yeah,
tenants
it's just not
protections.
like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've tried to do research on all of this stuff. Like, I've been, ever since he sent me those messages, I have been diving into all the legal research on this. I've taken so much advice from people on Reddit, and anyone that is watching this that has replied to me giving me legal advice, I do appreciate it. I am reading it. I'm trying my best to respond to everyone, but it's like thousands of people, so it's kind of hard to.
It's a
But
wild story, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure when you posted it, the way I mean,
I didn't
I
even think
like
it sounded real. I'm the one who posted it. I didn't even think it sounded real.
Right, but I love
I
like
can
the
pull up
non.
the text messages on my phone right now if you want to see them. I
Oh
have
no,
them
I
still.
I believe you. I mean, I love I loved the like the nonchalant sort of like title you gave it to. Like, is my landlord allowed to do this? And like usually you would see
And
that,
then it's just the
and
most
there,
absurd story.
yeah. But like I was thinking like when I first saw the headline, I was like, oh, is it gonna be like the landlord is I don't know watering the grass at the wrong time or something? I don't know. But
Yeah, like
instead it was shut off the power in the entire
I
building because of a conspiracy theory about COVID vaccinated people becoming zombies after
yeah.
the emergency broadcast test goes out. My God.
I mean, I was sitting there thinking like, what is like the most serious like title that I could think of for something this absurd? And that's just what I came up with. I just kept it basic. I know like a question like that could get someone interested in reading it, so I kind of felt like a question like that would get someone like interested in looking at the post and actually reading through those messages, and it worked. It got a lot of attention, and I got a lot of advice over it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can completely understand people's concerns about it being fake, though. But I mean, I wish it wasn't, man. I really do. I really wish it wasn't fake. It's crazy. I love the people in your chat. Brains.
I mean, I don't.
Your chat's been cracking me up.
Oh, that's awesome! I'm glad you enjoyed coming on. I mean, I really appreciate you reach this. If people don't understand, like this was complete chance that because you saw my tweet
Well,
that went.
actually, one of my friends sent it to me. I didn't even know that it blew up on Twitter like this. One of my friends sent your tweet to me, and he was like, "Yo, check this out. You blew up on Twitter," and I was like, "Oh crap, okay." And then I just retweeted it and just commented that that was me, and then yeah, you're literally the only news like even like reporter per se that has even tried reaching out to me about it. I've emailed all of my local news agencies.
And they didn't
Nobody's nobody
really.
yeah,
I
nobody
mean,
has contacted me about it.
I'm surprised. Like the local news, like I'm actually surprised that no one's reached out to you before me. That's
Hmm.
pretty. They might have just assumed that this was bullshit.
I mean,
Because
yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I can understand. I didn't attach the text messages, so I mean, I guess they can. I, I would understand if I received something like I had
right.
typed to them, the like confusion and the non-believing, but yeah,
I mean,
you're the only person so far. So
I'm
I mean, I'm always willing to talk about it with anyone too, because this needs to be known about. Stuff like this, it needs to be there's the awareness needs to be spread about stuff like this and mindsets like this.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really shocked the local news didn't at least reach out to you to get more information. This is right up their alley. A local business, which is essentially what a landlord is, doing this insane thing to their
Yep.
customers, i.e., tenants. I mean, this is wild stuff. I mean, I looked through the first thing I did was I looked through your Reddit profile, not so much to like suss you out
Yeah,
and
just
like
to verify my
just to verify,
realness.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a long-standing Reddit history. If you were someone bullshitting, you could easily put together a throwaway. The fact that
Yep.
you went like public with your actual long-standing account. And I did see that you a couple months ago you had posted a photo of yourself, and you look exactly like the individual I'm talking to right now on Skype. So it all matches up. Any reporters, local news who are thinking about finding out more about this, but weren't sure, I can vouch that this has been very legit. I mean, the next thing to do, I guess, is to talk to Gary. Can you hook that up for me?
I don't even know, man. I really don't. If he would give you some very interesting. He was literally whenever I called the cops for the third time, he was trying to show them and convince them that what he was going crazy over was true still. He was showing them like stuff on the internet and stuff like that was completely fake. And the cop was just disregarding everything he was saying. Oh, it was so satisfying, and it was really satisfying to give him my own 2 cents too. I don't know how he would react to a reporter reaching out to him. I mean, you could definitely try. I could send you his phone number.
Oh yeah, let's do that off air. Send it to me in one of the various messages, maybe on Skype or something in the
Yep.
chat. This was great. I really appreciate it. Justin, you said, right?
Yep, Justin. Yep.
Justin, this was fantastic to hear someone basically tell their side of this and hear it from your your neighbors too. You shared some of their stories and their
Yeah.
concerns. I mean, people
I
need to
just feel like the
understand.
little guy. That's just
Right.
how it feels.
Like people need to understand that like this conspiracy stuff is funny, obviously, but stuff that is funny could also be really concerning when you realize that the funny thing that you're disregarding as like balls to the wall crazy is actually super serious to the people talking about it and who believe in it. And they act on those beliefs. They do things based on those cockamamie stories
Yeah.
that affect normal people. And in this case, one landlord named Gary in somewhere in Kentucky found these conspiracy theories online, did his research into them, i.e., reading more conspiratorial bullshit from other insane people, and acted upon it by shutting off the power in an entire building for hours, where people were working from home. Mother was trying to take care of her children. All sorts of things. I mean, the food being okay is just like the idea that like he was like, oh, don't worry about your food as he's going into all these other
I was like,
concerns,
man.
like insane concerns, right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
felt bad because there are elderly people, like really like elderly people in our building, and when I was walking back in after all of that debacle, I walked past one of them and I was like, he's finally turning our power back on, and he was like, the older gentleman, he was like, man, it's so hot in my apartment right now, and I'm like,
ah,
man, I feel so bad for him. Like this is just such a terrible thing to do to people. I but like this is really like lifted me up personally because I want to stand up for like the people in this building that have to deal with his crap. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm tired of it and I'm going to stand up against it in any way possible. I just don't want to feel like the little guy that gets bullied and just pushed around by him anymore. I'm tired of it. And I appreciate anybody that reaches out with any words of support
there you
and any
go.
advice.
Everyone can check out that Reddit post from Justin. I'll put it in the description. I've also tweeted it out. Check it out. Read his update as well if you want
And the
to.
update, yeah.
Right, if you want to check that out, and you could message him on there. I guess that's the best way to probably reach out to you,
Yeah,
Justin, on
probably.
Reddit.
Yeah, yeah, I've gotten so many
All
Reddit
right.
messages, but yeah, I'll try my best to respond to them all. I've responded to all of them at this point. I've still gotten a few while we've been talking, so
There you
yeah,
go.
I'll definitely. If anybody has any questions about it or just any advice in general, I'm looking for anything right now. Like I need help at the moment.
Right.
Any like
Usually,
legal experts.
usually the advice for someone who has some sort of relationship, whether it be, their parents, grandparents, uncle, aunt, whomever, who gets this far deep into conspiratorial thinking like this, usually the advice is to, sadly, if they're that far gone, to cut them off, to cut them out, which you
Mhm.
can't do if the guy is
And
your landlord.
interestingly enough that you said that, I think I had one of his family members reach out to me on Reddit. They said that he's like their uncle or something, but I
Really?
didn't want to dox who he was at the time because they didn't
Right.
verify his last name. All they said was Gary B, and I didn't want to verify his last name with them and dox him because I didn't
Right.
know who they were. So I just assumed that yeah, that's who we're talking about, and they literally told me like he was their uncle, and like he does so much crazy stuff, and they've cut him out of their life and all this, and I'm just like, man, I feel bad for anybody that's related to him. I really do. I feel bad for them. It's because this is so much to deal with. It's just so much, man.
It sounds like something, again, I guess the biggest concern now is because like some people have pointed out, like the 2 hours shutting off the power is insane, but probably not much like punishment can be doled out legally through legal
Yeah.
channels for that. But what I would say is something could possibly be done to prevent him from doing this in the future, because you can't do that. You just can't decide to read something online and alter the lives of everybody. This was not like a necessary construction thing or repair or anything like that. I mean, I don't know what the laws are in Kentucky, but I gotta assume there's got to be some sort of law where you can't just decide for absolutely no reason to just shut someone's utilities off for hours during any random day.
Yeah, for sure. He I mean, I was told by my electric company, and they told the police officer that I have the right to turn my power back on, but I physically could not because of the padlock on the breaker that he placed on it. And the craziest part is that my breaker was the only one with the padlock on it. Like everyone else's, you could just flip
He
open and turn it back on. Mine was the only one with a padlock on it. I could not believe it. And I don't
he
know if
knew.
that's some kind of like repercussion for me reaching out to him and telling him not to do this,
Right. He definitely knew
or
you were going to try to put it back on, I think. That's what it sounds like to me, right?
yeah, like I just don't understand because as soon as he turned it off, I marched my butt right down there and tried to turn it on. I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, it can it like realistically, it does sound a little overdone with me trying to file a lawsuit over it. But at the same time, in my position, this has been really stressful to deal with. It just, him alone is enough, right? When I'm being forced to not be paid by my job when I'm trying to work actively because he believes in some crazy conspiracy that he feels the need to turn off all my power, he's affecting my own livelihood, and that causes like insane stress to me. And I just feel like at a moment's notice anything else could happen. Like it's made me really paranoid over the past few days, and I genuinely just don't know what he's gonna do next. I just don't know.
Oh no, he's
um
going to turn you into a conspiracy theorist.
he's got me
But the
he's,
opposite, you're going to be looking out for other conspiracy theorists coming after you. Yeah.
I don't know. I think he was just trying to make a zombie army today or something, man. I just
Well,
don't
no,
know.
he tried to prevent the zombie army. You were the one trying to create the zombie army by turning the power back on.
I guess. I mean, if you want to put it that way. Well, yeah.
All
Is
right,
there any other
Justin.
thing?
No,
Anything else?
this was fantastic discussion. Definitely, if you can send me that number for Gary, and I'll see about reaching out to him just to, see what he thinks about about
Yeah,
what
I would
happened.
love to know what he tells you. If you could tell me like what he tells you, I would love to know what he says about all this.
Oh
He will.
yeah.
The thing about him is that he doesn't like send you a single message. He goes on like a 5 paragraph rant about something that
Oh, that's
he's
classic landlord.
deeply
Yeah.
invested in. Like,
Right. Right.
and I don't know what.
Even if other landlords don't go into the conspiracy theory stuff, they love sending those similarly typed text messages out.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like it's just like some QAnon Facebook group just BS that is just blown up and completely infected his mind. This guy, he literally offered to give me ivermectin pills in the past. Do you know about the ivermectin thing
Oh
that
yes,
had
I do.
happened
It's all
with the horse
created.
parasite pill?
Yep, he
He
offered.
actually told me that he offered to give it to me and my cats on a monthly basis.
Did he
And he
text that
told
to
me
you?
that he takes it on a monthly basis still.
Did he text it to you?
I don't know if that's caused like brain rot or like something. I don't know. Like I think
Right.
he might be turning into a zombie. He's become what he doesn't want to see. I don't know. But
Was that in one of
it's
his text
insane.
messages? Was that in one of his text messages? Do
Yeah, no, he texted me about that ivermectin stuff. Yeah,
you
I
have it?
have
Can you
it.
pull it up?
I mean, it was a long time ago. It was probably like 8 months ago. I could try to find it. It would take me a while. If I find it, I'll send it to you, okay?
Use the search at the top of the
Oh yeah,
type
you're
in
right.
ivermectin.
How do oh yeah, hold on. Is it there? How do you spell it? I completely forgot.
Iver Ivor
Oh, I don't
and
have it anymore. I deleted it. No.
it's all good.
Oh, dang it, man. That was such a good one too. Oh man. I did
Can
have
you
it, but I deleted it.
can you pull up one of his other ones?
Yes, I can. I mean, most of the stuff that he messages me about,
Because I just want to sort
like,
of
like,
before you go, I wanted to sort of just like get an idea of what to talk. Oh, pull it back a little bit. Pull it
you
back a
can't
little.
really see it too well. I don't have that good of a camera, but this was,
Pull it
is it
back a
good?
little bit. Pull it back a little bit. Pull it back. It should go into a little bit
Oh,
more.
showing my face.
No, it's not
I
gonna.
don't
I
really
guess it's
have
not
the
gonna.
best
All
camera
right,
per
you could send
se.
me. You could send me the. You could send it to me
Yeah,
in
it's all blurry on the stream.
a
But yeah,
screenshot. Yeah.
after today, he sent out a thank you message to everybody. He said, "Thank you everyone for your assistance and understanding with the power. Your power has
Except
been
for except for
He's
Justin.
yeah. He said, "Your power has been restored and I have verified all is well in your apartment. If you weren't here to assist, thank you."
Unbelievable.
I think before this, oh yeah, here it is. Here's the other thing he messaged me about. He said, "This is a text I was hoping never to have to send to anyone, as I'm pretty sure most of you probably know one thing about me is that although I enjoy conversing about anything and everything, I generally don't inject politics/religions into conversations on my own. However, at
Oh.
this time, some things are so urgent and the timing has finally presented itself as very soon, like tomorrow. Not sure if anyone has been following about our dollar collapsing soon.
Oh my
Well, the
God.
time is now, I've just learned, which you won't hear from mainstream media. Today, it was finally divulged that the banking system is set to go away tomorrow, as we have
Hmm.
a new financial system coming into place, apparently. Without getting into a more lengthy reason, it's now legal for banks during a crisis to do a bank bail in, which will literally zero out everyone's accounts. And he just goes on a whole. It was such a long message. It's
This
insane.
this all tracks. This is
It,
all. It's all interconnected for these
Oh,
people.
the best part, literally the best part about the message is he sent a link, and the link, you know how like links have pictures?
Right.
The link is a picture of Donald Trump running through like water with two babies in his hands, like trying to save the babies
Oh,
or
one of
something.
those. Okay.
I'll show it to you right now. I'll send it to you on Twitter. Look, it's the funniest thing ever. It cracks me up. Oh my gosh. I did not respond to that message though. That was just some blasphemy that I just had. I just sent it if you want to look at it.
Let's pull it up.
It's a good one.
Gary the landlord, Americans, and especially all our great tenants who are our family. Be safe, be happy, and be healthy, and God bless. Also, please note the coming events are all going to be for the better, and we are about to have lots of beautiful, wonderful things to happen coming very soon. Here's the current happenings video, and it's an image.
I didn't even touch that link. I didn't even touch it.
restoredrepublic.co. September 12th. It's an image of Donald Trump running through water holding two babies. Yeah, yeah.
It's something you can't like. It just sounds so impossible. Like I just can't make this stuff up, man.
What is restoredrepublic.co?
I
Let's
have
find out.
no idea. I really don't. It's just absurd, man. Let me see if there's anything else he sent me recently. Uh, uh, uh. Oh, it just went all the way back. Whoops. Let's see. I know he sent me some. Oh yeah, he sent me something about. He sent me videos about like financial system stuff and um. He's like stuff about how he's
Oh,
forcing him to.
this is legit QAnon. This website.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
QAnon people on here. I wasn't sure. I mean, it was clear this guy was getting his conspiracy theories
He is one
from
of those.
QAnon, but I wasn't quite sure if he was hearing it through the grapevine or if he himself was like a QAnon guy. But this is pretty clear that he's a Q guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep, and oh yeah, as well. When I was paying online, he literally would get paranoid by me putting in the money that I sent him for rent. Like I'll say rent for August, and he would get paranoid about that. He thinks the IRS is like out to get him.
Oh.
He's like,
They
I think
might
he
be
like.
if he's doing something if he's doing
I'm
something
at this
shady.
point. I'm assuming they are because um I feel like he's one of those tax dodging Republicans that just hates the government in every form of it. Um, Recently, other than those things, though, he hasn't sent me much. Most of it is yeah, most of it's just like cat related stuff and a
Like
bunch of
complaining about
other.
your cats.
Yeah, well, no, more so like when I got my second cat, he was like, "Oh, we should have a kitty get together with all the other tenants." And I was like, "No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm all good."
This guy seems very bizarre. Yeah.
It's just absurd. I like, man. I just wish I could make all this stuff up. Like, honestly, like it would be so much easier for me to make this up. Like but I don't even think I could at the same time. I don't even think I could. It Oh yeah, yeah, it's dude. It's
Justin,
crazy.
this was fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to send
Yeah,
me
of
this
course.
first of all, and then
Of
jumping
course.
on this stream last minute, and then sharing your story, the experience. Definitely keep everybody updated, by the way, with what happens.
I will most likely post an update tomorrow, uh, depending on what the attorneys say. I'm gonna post another one on Reddit tomorrow about that, um, and then I'll go from there.
Sounds good, Justin.
Hmm.
Is there
And I'll
anything you?
send you his number after this as well.
Oh, cool, perfect. Yes,
Yep.
please do that. Is there anything you want to leave us on? Is there like maybe do you have like a social media profile you want to share, or you don't have to? It's totally up
Yeah,
to
so
you.
I'm a gamer. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at QuasiCS. It's the one I was messaging you on. Also in the Reddit thread as well, I have a GoFundMe posted to help me with any legal fees should I need them, and even just to help me move apartments at the moment. I'm struggling financially. I live on my own. I have no support outside of myself. My mom will help me sometimes, but I mean, I don't make that much money, so um, that GoFundMe in the updated Reddit thread, if anybody feels generous enough to donate, I would really appreciate it. You'll help me and my cat babies get a new home, hopefully soon.
Justin, the Redditor with Gary, the tenant of Gary, the landlord, who believes in wild conspiracy
Yeah,
theories about the
man,
emergency broadcast system and 5G and COVID vaccines. My God. Justin, thank you so much for joining us.
yeah, and I just posted the Reddit link in the chat for uh anyone that wants to pull up that updated thread.
Perfect.
Posted it for you there.
I'll have them in the description of this video too. Take care,
Okay.
Justin. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, folks. That was very interesting. That was very illuminating. To basically hear from someone who usually we do hear from family and friends of conspiracy believers who basically upend their life and their relationships for these conspiracy theories. But to hear from like someone who has to interact with these people on a regular basis who aren't family and friends, who have different sorts of relationships with them, that's one that we don't usually hear about, and I thought that was super interesting. So we're not zombies. The COVID vaccine, you should get it if you haven't already. Because it does not turn you into a zombie. The 5G does not activate non existent microchips. The 5G is not dangerous to begin with. The emergency broadcast system test happened and nothing went wrong. No one spontaneously combusted or turned into cannibals or the living dead. So, yeah. Mission accomplished, everyone. Everything went well today. So now let's go to the second half of the show. But before we do that, folks, patreon.com/mattbinder. If you can support this show, I would greatly appreciate it. This is the first show we've had in October. This weekend was the first of the month. And as you all know, first of the month is when Patreon processes the memberships, and we lost a bunch of members, as we always do at the beginning of the month. This one hit us hard, and on top of that, a few people had to also purposefully unsubscribe, cancel their membership because of financial difficulty. Times are tough. So if you can, patreon.com/mattbinder to continue making sure that I can give you quality programming like tonight. Your support, your monthly support gives me an ability to basically put aside money for the show, for time I spend away from my kids to put these shows together, for expenses related to the show, all of that fun stuff. And of course, as you all know, I really want to bring an editor on to help me get more content out there. It's not looking good right now for me bringing an editor on, because I had mentioned how we had got somewhere where I was considering it, but we lost too many subscribers. At least for the amount of time I wanted to bring an editor on for. Maybe I'll still reach out to people to get some for specific projects out. Also, youtube.com/mattbinder. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. You can also become a member on YouTube as well, paying monthly member on YouTube if you prefer that. Patreon gives me a bigger cut, but I'm not gonna not take your money if you prefer to do it through YouTube. Twitch.tv/mattbinder as well. Follow me on there. And if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, be sure to connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. What does that mean? If you're already paying for your Amazon Prime, for your deliveries and things of that nature, you should also know that one of the bonuses you get is a free membership to one of your favorite Twitch creators every month. If you're not using it, you're just letting Amazon keep more of your money because they're basically paying the creator you give it to. So give it to your favorite creator. I'm telling you that because I hope it's me, but definitely just use it even if it's not me. Don't let Amazon keep that money. What else? Oh, quick question for everybody. Speaking of needing money for upgrades and stuff, was anyone experiencing any weirdness with the stream when the guest came on? Like, was there any weird stutters or anything? I'll talk about that more in the second half. Let's go to the second half now. Probably should have waited to bring that up. But anyway, if you are watching live or you are a subscriber to the show on Patreon, nothing changes for you. Everything continues as usual. If you are a freebie podcast listener, that is, if you just listen to the free version of this podcast that shows up on your Apple Podcasts or Google Play or wherever you listen to podcasts, this is where we say goodbye. And I should mention, you might have noticed that last month only 1 or 2 podcast episodes went out on that stream. I was basically trying something a little bit different. Those episodes are all going to go out. They're obviously going to not go out when they went live, but I was trying something a little bit different. Basically to trying some different strategies I had seen online to basically refresh the feed, see, people who aren't regular listeners, they unsubscribe because there's no content coming in, and then the real subscribers listen to your stuff. It apparently might help you get a boost in the algorithm. I will say the last episode that went up after I went a few weeks without putting a show up on that feed, it is getting more downloads than usual, so it seems to maybe have worked. That will, if you're listening via that stream, it's now back to regular schedule programming. Let's see how it goes. So apologies in advance if you were wondering where the stuff was in the podcast feed. It's coming to you now. And if you only listen via the podcast feed, this is where I say, see you all next time on Doomed.
Technological collapse. Corporate fascism. Corporate journalism. Police brutality. Voter suppression. Austerity economics. Education masses. Rampant homophobia. Armed strength.
We got our first caller. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal? I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. Really? I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
We are back. Let me pull myself up here. Whoa, what happened there? Why did it take so long to... Oh, it's weird. All right. Hello, everybody. We're back on the show. Let's take a Skype call. I want to see if... Because it seems like I was... So as I mentioned it briefly during the first half. Some weird issue where my screen was freezing when I called him on Skype. And I had to constantly... I noticed it would unfreeze when I moved the mouse. So I had to constantly move the mouse while I was talking to Justin. So my screen wouldn't freeze. It was very bizarre. It's never happened before. I was wondering if it was being streamed that way, but I quickly checked the stream and during the break, and it seemed like it was fine. So it was just my screen. Very weird. Let's take a call and see what happens. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Forrest from California.
Hey, Forrest. How you doing?
Pretty good. So I hate to be this guy, but did you see
Wait,
the
I just want to say,
debate
hold on, I just want to
between...
say, it looks like no freezing. Good. I don't know why that happened when I picked up the phone for Gary, but luckily no freezing. All right, cool. I was testing out with you. I know you're not in a video going, but I brought up the Skype logo that shows up for people who don't have video. Everything's good. I just wanted to mention it because it was driving me wild during that interview, and I was really worried that the feed was messed up. Thankfully, it was not. Go ahead. How you doing?
Good. I hate to be this guy, but did you see the debate between Cenk Uygur and Hassan today?
There was debate between Cenk Uygur and Hassan. As you can tell from my reaction, I had absolutely no idea.
Okay. It was not good for Cenk. It did not.
What was the debate? What was the debate about?
So they had three main topics. The first one was the trans stuff. They didn't spend a lot of time on that, but Cenk didn't really make a compelling argument, obviously. He kept going back to, I just want the left to stop talking about trans people in sports so much, and that's my issue with it. And then Hassan kept being like, well, yeah, but you're the one talking about it now, And he was not receptive to that. And he just kept deflecting and trying to do weird pseudoscience and stuff. It was not good.
What else did they talk
Then the
about?
second topic they talked about was police reform, and Cenk came out as massively like I don't know. I don't think he knew what his real position was because he was simultaneously pro-police and anti-police, depending on where what was convenient for him in that moment in the conversation. Um,
Mm.
so like a good example is they spent half an hour on the topic of what was it? They spent half an hour on the topic of California like passed something where they're going to review 75,000 prisoners to see whether they should be released. And basically the idea is they're going to have a panel of judges who make determinations about these prisoners, and all of the people on the list have served at least half of their sentence.
Wait, what?
And then, yeah. And Jake was like freaking out about that and talking about how, it's just like woke DAs making like knee-jerk decisions about like letting people go on the drop of a hat, and like even when Hassan told him like, no, like this is what this is. They've already served half of their sentence, and it's a panel of judges making a decision. It's not like people are just knee-jerk reacting, And he kept like ignoring that and just going back to his talking point of like woke people making knee-jerk decisions and just doing it on a whim or something.
And what was Hassan's reaction?
Like he was getting increasingly frustrated because Cenk was just not addressing or not reacting to his like opinions or facts and not addressing his points. And then Hassan would actually bring up statistics, and then Cenk would go, "Oh yeah, but like you can see it with your own eyes." Like he was just doing the classic reactionary like, "But my feelings though" thing.
Right.
Like for everything, and then like towards the end of the debate, Jake said one of the most condescending things like, I've been coming here, like just giving you all of these facts and data points. And I was just sitting there like, no, Hassan has been forcing you to react to Hassan's data points. You've just been giving us like, I can see it with my own eyes. Do you not see like how they've been locking things up behind plexiglass in the store?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was.
I don't know what the point of him like obsessing on this stuff is. Like, even if this is something he believes, his whole argument is we need to not focus on it. But all I ever hear him do is focus on this stuff.
Like we need to not focus on it, which is why this is the main thing I'm focusing on.
Yeah, I don't get what his deal is here, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And then the third topic of their discussion was his presidential race, which he didn't even really make a good case for that either. Like his whole thing was we need to get Biden out of the race, which I don't see how you entering the race does that. And then like, that was the crux of his thing. Just we need to convince Biden to stop running. And then Hassan was like, okay, well, you're going to get either demonized or ignored in the media. You're going to take votes from Marianne Williamson or like split them with her. So it doesn't really do anything. And then, well, what's your end game? And then he kind of just talked around it and like said some stuff about how if all he does is end the concept of like the birthright citizenship being necessary to run, then he'll have succeeded or something.
Yeah, I don't follow what he's what his his plan is here.
Yeah. Like he really doesn't have a strong argument. And then the only real argument he tried to make was that like Hassan asked him, okay, well, you even in your like district level or like your run for a House seat that one time, you only got 6% of the vote for that House seat. So what's your argument for doing a presidential run? And he was like, oh, well, in a House seat, the mainstream media can like curate the narrative on you, but in a presidential race there's so much more media around it, and that's such a terrible argument. I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, but that's not enough to make that much of a difference, you know? I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, he's just seems like he's.
I don't even know what to say to this stuff anymore, honestly, because
I
like it
know.
seems. I also think like, and this is, I'm sure people think I'm gonna be saying this. Certain people might think I'm saying this because I'm like, I don't know, just saying it out of like not liking them or something, or I don't know, some sort of like career building thing or something. But no, this is just straight up like me noticing this just generally, just from observing things.
Yeah.
TYT has lost relevance. I mean,
Yeah.
it might still be the biggest. I don't know. It might still be the biggest YouTube news show. It could be. It wouldn't surprise me. They still do good numbers, but in terms of like being at the forefront of the conversation, that they're not. They're not.
Yeah. And
They're
you
not.
don't think.
They're no longer dry. They're covering the news and getting views for that stuff, which there's a place for that. Obviously, that's good, but
Yeah.
they're not driving the conversation anymore. There was a time where they were like the place for every online progressive to watch to see like what should be the focus of like, their attention or whatever in terms of like what they should care about. Or I think that those days are gone.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I genuinely don't understand their strategy because even if you see it as like some kind of like cynical like business strategy that they're doing, like, okay, there is some audience for tone policing the nominally left or whatever, but like you can't build a good, durable platform for yourself based on that. Like, and that's like increasingly all they're doing. It's just like, I don't like that the left says this, so I'm going to call them out. And I don't like that the left says that, and I'm going to call them out. But I'm not really offering better solutions. I'm just offering right wing talking
Yeah.
points. I mean, and there isn't like they've already built their platform on being like the progressive powerhouse, like top tier of the left kind of thing. And I don't think they're going to be able to pivot into something else because that's what their audience was. That's how they got there, and that's what everyone thinks they are. So they're just going to lose the people that were on with them, but I don't think there's a way for them to gain the other people that they're, I guess, looking for, you know?
Right. Right.
Because
No, yeah.
as the avatar.
What was that last part?
They built themselves up as the avatar of progressivism.
Right.
So
Oh
they
yeah,
don't have
there's gonna be I mean there still is a large subsection of the online left that wrote them off with how based on what's happened this past year. I mean it's just the truth. I'm not interjecting opinion here.
I did.
It's just what it is.
I canceled my subscription and I stopped watching. I mean, after the thing with Anna saying Jesse Singal was totally okay. I mean, that you can't say that. That's not an okay thing to say if you want to be on the left. I mean, that's not about like tone policing or whatever. It's just Jesse Singal is like a anti-trans activist, so you can't square that circle if you're going to be in this area, you know?
Right. Well, they made their bed, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, I will say, kudos to them for letting it be known that they believe that stuff. I mean, it would have. I mean, I said that jokingly, but I don't even think that for something like that with their relevance basically in the entire like leftist space or progressive space. I think it would have been better if they just kept that to themselves. Actually, if that's what they believed, one of the rare instances where their sort of cachet made it so it'd be preferable not to know their true feelings on something. They should have not shared.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
most anyone else, I would have been like, you know what? It's good we know who this person is now. But yeah, it's what it
Honestly,
is
I
though.
feel so bad for Hassan because you could just see the frustration oozing out of him as the debate went on. Like he was he he popped off on Jank multiple times, but Jank was just not receptive to anything he had to say. And then the only thing like Jank allowed himself to take away from it was like Hassan had told him earlier, like, why are you freaking out about the trans thing? Like, just because people are freaking out at you online over something doesn't mean you should be like trying to temper your message in reaction to that. And then, like, at the end of the debate, Jake's only takeaway was, all right, I'm going to do what you said earlier and just agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. Oh, and it was fun. They took a pot shot at leftist mafia too. So, or
Wait,
Jake did.
why would you leave that out? What happened there?
Uh,
Whoa.
Um, so when Hassan was explaining, like, yeah, if people are criticizing you, you either like take that criticism in or you just ignore it and move on because there are always people online waiting at like lining up to criticize people who are public figures, you know. And Jank was like, "Well, what am I supposed to do when people like Lance and the other guys like are being like that on the internet or whatever, you know?"
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't care that they responded to the. I mean, I like that they did that.
Hmm.
I thought it was what we discussed that was weird was that it seemed like Anna just went directly at Ole when there was a lot of people who said a lot of things. Right.
I still don't understand that. Like, why?
I mean, she could have obviously brought up Ole, no problem about that, but the complete focus was as if no one else said anything. It was
Yeah.
weird. I don't know. No one said anything about me. The only thing that happened which is weird because I think I was probably the most hard on them. The only thing that came out of it was I think Anna unfollowed me on Twitter. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a strong progressive power usage there.
I mean, I didn't even realize she was following me previously until someone showed me that she wasn't, and then showed me that she previously was. Um, Again, bizarrely, the only person in this whole universe who has never been on a single Young Turks program. I'll never understand it, but it is what it is.
I just think it's funny that it's clear that at least Jank, probably also Anna, are still butthurt over your incredibly like tepid, like I don't really want to deal with this criticism.
I mean, my hardest critique on them is like what's going on in the water over there, where
Yeah.
there's been multiple instances of like right wingers coming out of there with lots of like a huge platform, lots of attention,
Yeah.
lots of followers. It's happened multiple times. Like
Yeah.
once is a fluke,
Mhm.
twice I would even be the suspect, but it's happened
Yeah.
3 times, and you know if it goes again in the way some of these things are happening, it's a fourth. And 2 of the 3 are, I mean, all 3 are insanely big, but 2 of the 3 are absolutely huge on YouTube.
Mhm.
The other one is his own is making tons of money over on Substack apparently.
Who's the third one? I know Ruben and I know Dor, but who's the third one?
Tracy.
Oh, right. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten he existed. So, yay for
He
me.
was brutally massacred by Maxine Waters while he was working for TYT.
Oh, okay.
Do you recall that whole thing with Maxine Waters?
No, I'm not big on following like
He was
drama.
like she was
between
like she was
gamers.
like she was like outside the Capitol like years ago, and he was asking her a question, and she was like I guess listening at first, and then she realized that he was like asking a question she didn't want to answer. So she
Mhm.
tried to walk past him, and he was like standing like firmly, like so she couldn't just walk away. So she like just put her hand like up to like walk past him while like and like touched him, And he
Yeah.
was like, "I've been assaulted."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Man, TYT has definitely hired a few freaks. Just weird
yeah.
people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll never, it doesn't. Again, I got no specific beef with TYT. There's some great people over there.
Hmm.
Specifically, I love Dan from the web, who's not there anymore. I don't think,
Yeah.
but I know Ravana does TYT all the time, and I'm a big fan of
Hmm.
hers. I think she's great. There's a number of people over there who I really like. I mean, Emma Vigland came from
Yeah.
TYT, and I think Emma is wonderful. I enjoy doing a show with her every week.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it certainly is not like they're terrible people. It's just I think they've made some bad choices, which we all do.
Yeah.
But, we usually learn from our mistakes quicker than the pace TYT is learning.
Yeah. You're doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down on the worst thing you could do. Yeah. I,
Well,
I do. Oh, sorry. Just one last thing. I do kind of think that it's probably just a question of volume as far as the people who've defected to the right wing. Just because TYT is such a large organization with who has such a lot of like a large amount of turnover and new hosts who come in and do guest spots or whatever, and then like go off to do other things. I do kind of think it might just be a question of volume.
I don't know. Majority Report had Sam Cedar, Janine Garofalo, and then all the producers who've worked for them. Many, like Dorsey, is still working with him today in the background. He's not in the office every day.
Mhm.
And then, you got, then it was the iteration with me and Michael.
Mhm.
And then the iteration with Michael, Matt Leck, Jamie, and then he's hired over the years Brandon, Bradley, and then you
Yeah,
got
fair enough.
Emma and Brandon Sutton. I mean, there's not a single person. I'm sure I'm leaving out a number of people, even people I worked with over there who have come and gone over the years. Some who's still reporting, some of them have gone on to do other things. No one, not a single person has
Fair enough.
has dramatically
Cheap
changed in
just
any
or whatever.
way. Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
No, it's all good. Great call. Appreciate it.
yeah.
Enjoy keeping up. Oh wait, I lost you. You just. Oh no, someone else hung up.
Uh,
And I appreciate you keeping me up to date and with what's going on over there. I got no beef with the T. I want to stress again, no beef with them. I'm just
mhm.
offering my basic criticisms that have nothing to do with my personal feelings on any of them. I'm sure they're wonderful people personally. I know I've worked with a few of them over the years off screen, back when I worked at the Majority Report and we were part of the TYT network and helping us build our YouTube channel. And got, people over there are great. Some people over there I disagree with. But my opinion is obviously quite strong on the organization and how things have gone down over there.
Yeah, for sure. Just in case anyone wanted to go frustrate themselves, the debate happened on Hassan's stream today, so you can go watch it
Oh,
on Twitch.
Jank went on Hassan's stream. That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it, but I thought it was on TYT.
It was like a 3-hour debate, and about 2 hours of it was the police reform. So
All right.
yeah. All right.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right, let's go back to the phones. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It is Adam from the UK. I'm just going to close you on my monitor so I don't hear you twice.
Hey, Adam from the UK. What would you like to talk about?
We've spoken before, if you recall, a few times.
I do
A few
recall.
months ago was the last time I called, I think. Well, what I wanted to talk about is, have you seen the new Dan Olsen video? Because if you remember, many, many months ago, one of my first calls to you, I was mentioning the whole super stonk thing and talking about how weird it was. And then I I said someone should really look into it and like investigate it, and finally someone's done it. So I was very happy to see that video. Have you watched it yet?
Who is that again? Say that one more time.
Dan Olson, Folding Ideas.
Oh
He
yes,
recently released
yes.
a video.
I just saw. Yes, yes, yes. I did not get a chance to watch it. It's on my watch list to watch it. Big fan of his work. His NFT number goes up video was amazing, and it came out at the perfect time when it did. Haven't had a chance to watch this one yet. What is it? What is this one about?
Like the super stonk thing, like the apes.
Oh,
you know?
okay. Yeah, I gotta watch that one. That one, this one,
Yeah.
this one, not so perfectly timed in terms of relevancy, but I do have to watch it
Yeah,
because
I mean,
his stuff is good.
The apes will last forever.
That's
They'll
true.
last a while anyway, because there's still
I mean, they're still
AMC,
there,
AMC
right?
is an
They're still buying that shit up, or trying to make it
Yeah.
try to make it happen again, but doesn't seem like it's gonna happen, and definitely not this time.
It's really good. I'd just say watch the video because he basically breaks down like every little thing. There's also a subreddit that I discovered after I made the call to you, which is called GME Meltdown or something like that, and that's like sort of the people who are critical of the apes go there. So that's a good resource for finding a lot of the sort of those are the people who have
Jimmy
been
Meltdown, you said?
crazy ape stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously those guys are kind of biased because it's basically a subreddit devoted to hating apes, you know. But
Right. Well, listen,
mean-
I don't think that's necessarily, I mean, it could be a bias, obviously, but I think a bias steeped in good criticism. Like,
Yeah.
I obviously have an anti-crypto bias, but it's not because I'm like disgruntled or something. It's because I know it deeply. And I know it's bullshit. So yes, I'm
Yeah,
biased
exactly.
against it, but it's based on a lot of factual reasons.
Yeah, that's fair. I was mainly just gonna mention that. I'm sure a lot of people in chat have seen it, and I would definitely recommend you watch it. It's long, but it went by very fast for me, and because I've already kind of familiar, it felt basically like Dan went down the same rabbit hole that I did when I discovered it, except he's obviously, a lot more academic and able to research and put it all like, fill in a lot of the gaps in terms of my own knowledge and like getting the timeline really right and all the technical stuff right. So it was sort of I was able to learn a lot of stuff, and I also just think it presented everything to people who wouldn't know anything in a really clean way. Like the line goes up thing. He really takes his time to like actually explain how these things work and sort of the misconceptions and stuff. I really like it because I think a lot of people would sort of see him as like a left-wing content creator, but he's fairly like impartial and like he doesn't really go into like ideological stuff very often, really, does he? I mean, occasionally he'll like make some comments like, but mostly it's just like a deep dive on the topic rather than trying to make some broader political statement. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
Like he's a good entry point for people because he's sort of just sticking to the purely documentarian side of things, I guess.
Right. No, he's good. So I totally agree with your assessment there of his work. So you don't got to sell me on him. I just got to find the time to watch that video.
Yeah. I had two more quick topics just for the
Yeah,
lol.
sure. Go ahead.
First would be, I like to do my little movie recs, and this one's one that I'm sure you've already seen, but I just want to know, what's your opinion on 28 Days Later, a zombie classic, or well, maybe a classic. I don't know. Do you like it?
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I think I actually like the sequel better. It's been a while since I've seen them. I mean, the original has the more classic scenes in it, like the more memorable sort of scenes. But I remember liking the entirety of the second one a little bit better. I don't recall them all that well though. It's been a while, but they're good
I'd
movies.
say maybe
I do know that.
rewatch them.
Yeah.
I mean, some people like the sequel better, some people like the first better. I'm personally more in the camp that the first one's better, but that's
Right.
just
No,
me.
they're both good. I remember there was the debate at the time whether it was technically a zombie movie. I would put it in there. They're
Yes.
they're infected. So maybe not be Living Dead, but it's in that realm.
Yeah, for sure. I was wondering if you were gonna have like the contrarian opinion, like, no, this isn't Romero, so it's not good, kind of
Oh
thing.
no, I think listen, Romero, if you ask me, lost it in the last few movies he had. I mean, Night of the Living Dead, amazing. King of the zombie movies, absolute classic. Can watch it anytime. It is fantastic. It is near perfect. I love it. I think it holds up. It without a doubt, not even a question, it holds up. It's fantastic commentary. It's a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic horror movie. It's great. I know there's some people who think Dawn of the Dead is even better. I disagree. But Dawn of the Dead, also amazing. Not so much of a fan of the Dawn of the Dead zombie design. I think the purple makeup is overdone, not so great, but the movie is fantastic, obviously.
Yeah.
The third Day of the Dead, I think, is underrated. I think it is amazing. I think he got the zombies down perfectly. I think that's where you start to really see the modern day zombie look start to come in. The idea that there is a zombie who is remembering how to use tools with Bub is absolutely fantastic. It begins there with Day of the Dead. I think it's great. Again, probably has less all around less memorable than the other two, but it's just as good as just as good as the other two as well. Land of the Dead is okay. It's a good movie. It's nothing great. I don't think it's worthy of being held up with those the original three, but it's a Romero movie. It's good. After that, The Diary of the Dead is horrible. It was so bad. It was
I haven't even
disappointing
heard
when
of
I
that
saw
one,
it.
I don't think.
Yeah, that was the first he did that came out after Land of the Dead, I believe, and then I think he came out with one or two more, and then he's got another one that he wrote that he sadly passed away before he could do that. Apparently, because he finished it, it's gonna go into they're gonna make it. Let me actually check. We're in the October season. We're gonna be talking
Gotta
about
milk
some
that
horror stuff.
franchise, I guess.
Um,
Didn't you do a live stream on one Halloween
we watched
where you
Night of the Living Dead
Return of the
because
Living Dead?
we watched Night of the Living Dead because it's in public domain, so we can
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah, that was it. Night of the Living Dead, right?
Yeah, after Land of the Dead was Diary of the Dead, and then after Diary of the Dead was Survival of the Dead. And honestly, I do not even remember that one. And I'm a huge Romero person.
Yeah.
I think Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead is amazing. I love his other movies. The Crazies is fantastic. The Creep Show 1 and 2, love it. Monkey Shines, an underrated movie. But I don't even remember Survival of the Dead. So it must be pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, so I think people just try and pretend it doesn't exist, I guess. It's been buried. Like when you hear of those like direct to DVD sequels of classic horror movies and no one ever
Right.
speaks of them, and then you watch them and then you realize, oh, this is why no one ever speaks of this.
Right.
Like the sequel to Rosemary's Baby. Have you heard of that one? Look what
Yeah.
happened to Rosemary's
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
That one's absolute trash.
Right. There's always those movies from certain I'm sure M. Night Shyamalan wishes he didn't do that Avatar movie. The Last Airbender. I wish he didn't do The Happening because I think that was really bad.
What? No.
But I will say I might be the only person on the planet who enjoyed Lady in the Water. I don't think that's one of his bad movies, even though I think I might be the only person on Earth who thinks that. In fact, I think it's a really good movie.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to go for that one. But I don't think I've actually sat
most
through
people
the whole
do.
thing.
Most people don't agree with me on that one, but to each his own.
All right, I had one more thing, which is more politics. This is in a way, it's kind of like a pointless question because it's going to be something that'll be like it's kind of like making predictions about the future, where it's like, well, we'll know when we get there, kind of thing. But what do you think is like? Because obviously, assuming that no one passes away or anything, it's going to be Trump versus Biden in 2024, right? I mean, the other Republican candidates, they're
In
not.
fact,
They
I'm going to
don't have
go
a
so
chance.
far that you don't even need to say Trump versus Biden in 2024. It's going to be President Biden winning in 2024. I'm
Right. Well,
calling
what
it.
I
I'm
was going to
calling it
ask
right
is
now.
how
I want
salient do
everyone.
you think
I
Jan
want.
6 is going to be at that point? Because I feel like
Oh,
Jan 6 is like
they're not
such a
going
big deal,
to.
but
Yeah.
also people just, they have such short memories. So what
I
do you
don't
think?
know. I think a lot of people aren't going to want to push it after they saw some people go to jail for many years. Honestly, um, I want people to remember that in October of 2023, I said Joe Biden's going to win the presidency. And why am I so sure now to be calling it right now? Because based on the new, I mean, I feel strongly that he's going to win prior to this past week. But I didn't call it so assuredly until just today because I am calling it based on the news that RFK Jr. is going to announce a independent run. And if RFK
Hell
Jr.
yeah.
if RFK Jr. runs as a third party, he will undoubtedly, not even a question about it, pull away a not insignificant portion of people who would have voted for Trump. Because there
Yeah, I mean,
is that
potentially.
strong anti-vaxxer base. We could debate how large they are. I don't think they're gigantic, but I think in tight races in certain states they could matter. They will not vote for Trump if an RFK Jr. is running because they don't like Trump's stance on the vaccines, and RFK Jr. is their guy. If RFK Jr. lost the Democratic primary and didn't run, they would probably go to Trump then. But if RFK Jr. is running, they're going to vote for RFK Jr.
Well, maybe he's playing 4D chess. Maybe we haven't been giving RFK enough credit, you know?
Like he's not even gonna. Like he's not even. I can't even think of like a single Democrat who he'll pull away from Biden. Like he is.
Yeah.
He really. I don't know if he really doesn't realize it or this is just his. He's claiming to play stupid here, but he is does not appeal to the Democratic base.
Yeah, maybe he's just, I don't know, old and out of touch. Who knows what's going on in his head?
I mean,
Uh,
that's a lot of politicians,
he's
right?
probably, got a lot of, I mean, anyone who's in a position where they're running for president, especially as like a smaller candidate, you have to have, a lot of people in your ear, sort of encouraging you and pushing you on and, telling you what kind of messages to stick to. I feel like, I'm not saying that he's like, just being guided without knowing anything, but I do think it's a psychological factor when you have people egging you on and saying, oh, you're great, you're doing a great job, keep it up with the anti-vax stuff. Everyone loves that. I imagine he has a lot of people in his ear who are like telling him, good job, and that just kind of, feeds into people's egos.
Right.
But yeah, I had one final thing actually, because I just
Yeah,
remembered
sure.
it. The whole QAnon thing, right? I feel like QAnon is kind of, I don't know if it's just because Trump isn't president anymore, but I feel like it's kind of like not talked about anymore. I feel like it's still there, but no one's talking about the QAnon people. It's kind of old news. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, because you're more into that world, right? So, do you think it's died out a bit, or do you think it's just people aren't paying attention, or
No, it's
what
still
do you think
going
that?
on. It's still going on. Obviously, it's certainly died down a little bit in terms of like it's not a like it was really strong back when they thought they could do something. In terms of like changing the presidency, but it's still there. It's still there. There is a strong. I mean, that's who was spreading this stuff about uh, the the emergency broadcast system. Like they're out there. They're still around. Um, and who knows what will when and where and why they'll reactivate.
Yeah, fun things to look forward to in 2024, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
All right. Well,
it will
I'll
be
leave you
fun.
to other
It'll still be interesting. Let's put it that way. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. At least it's content for you, right? The
Yeah.
crazier the world gets, the more interesting content you can make, at least.
Yeah, that's true. There's always look on the bright side of life, right? Do do do
All
do
right.
do do do.
Catch you
Take
later,
care.
Matt. See
Bye.
ya.
Let's take a few more calls here. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Hey, Dave from Jamaica. What's up?
Much. It looks like I got the timing right.
Yeah, you called in right.
30
Literally,
seconds,
literally
30
the second
seconds
I
late.
the second I hung up, your call popped up. It was perfect.
So, I've come to disagree with you on the Biden prediction. I will say I don't know because I don't think the number of anti-vaxxers are, how can I say it? Their dislike of Trump's wishy-washiness on anti-vax is enough.
There are people who are more COVID and vaccine obsessed than they care about anything else.
Well,
And
if that
I mean,
was true,
for
then
those
would
people,
this-
DeSantis
okay.
is their guy.
Yeah, but
Probably.
But DeSantis is getting his ass cleaned up.
Right. Which is why I'm saying, most likely, if RFK Jr. runs, some of those people are going to go to him.
Oh, well, I'll agree with you on that one. The thing is, why I'm uncertain of Joe Biden winning or not is I do know Dems have to overperform to win because of how your electoral college is set up. Maybe
Right.
like by about 5% or so. So that's why I'm uncertain. But because looking at these poll numbers, Biden is like, ugh, he's not. It is concerning to me, at least. I would say I would be worried.
I hear you.
And their strategy seems to be basically let's hope the Republicans destroy each other enough. And I'm not sure that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
That's just me. But I do see the logic. I just don't know if there's that big a number that it would be enough to be that 5% they need to just scratch through again. But anyway, I don't want to give your listeners and chatters panic attacks. But I did catch some of that Cenk Hassan discussion. And while I'm not going to relitigate it, because watching it made me feel very depressed. It's like watching somebody talk to a more conservative version of my father or something. So, like you bring up your points, you make your logical things, and then they're just like, nope, I have this vibe. My neighbors experience this. I know what the normal people want. And I think a lot of quote unquote leftist infighting, even though I've changed my view on leftist infighting in the sense that it's not unique to leftists. We don't infight particularly more than anybody else. I mean, just
Right,
watch
yeah.
the news. Republicans infight. If you guys work at a workplace, people at work infight over some of the most inane shit. So I don't think there's a uniqueness of infighting. I just think I would say Cenk and Anna to an extent kind of represent certain pitfalls when you're in the media game, where you develop this type of thing where you are owed respect or whatever, and then when people disagree with you, can't let it go, right? And I notice people who
I
handle
see what you're
it better.
saying.
Yeah, well, I notice people handle it better, like maybe you Matt, folks at MR generally, Hassan too, is that sometimes you know when to just eat shit because like
Right. I mean,
it's
it
kind of the thing
doesn't
you have to do.
doesn't usually happen, but when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. What can you do?
No, I mean even when you're right, sometimes, you're not, if let's say somebody disagrees with you over tactics and it's somebody online, right? Or something like that. You don't harp on it. You're like, oh well, I disagree with that, and then you move
Oh,
on.
I've gotten to the point where unless it's something interesting that we can like turn into like a debate or something like that, I got no interest in even spending a moment on my time on it.
I'll give you a good example with you. Like when you had the little, when Bree Joy Gray snapped at you for some nonsense. You spoke about it like maybe one day, and then you moved the fuck on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wish I would love to actually talk with her, have a conversation, but she made it clear that she has got no interest in that. So that's where my interest in spending a second on her ends. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
No, well, that's kind of my view on things too. Like, I think sometimes people has to kind of know what type of actors you're dealing with, and then you just don't give them any. If there's nothing useful you can get out of them in terms of elevating the conversation, just move on, right? And to be fair, and this is after looking at it, Anna and Jenk have more or less hoisted themselves on their own petard because they can't seem to let it go. Even if let's say they are right, which they're not, but let's say they're right. How has their tactics improved the conversation anyone? It hasn't. It hasn't improved it one lick, right? Even if they were right, it just makes them come off as kind of petty and narcissistic, right? So usually when I how can I say, you don't suffer fools, right? So you just move on. But as I said, that's kind of, I think it comes from an entitlement that they figure that people must give them deference, even though they might not deserve it. No, this is not me saying they're bad people per se, but
no,
it's
right? Listen. I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is kind of like when I'm looking at workplace disputes and I'm telling the guys, just chill. It's not that big a deal. You just need to let it go. If you don't like this dude, just do whatever work you have to do. But I think a lot of people have not learned to, I hate to sound like this, but learn to kill their egos, right? Yeah, this is not saying you can't talk shit in private with your friends or whatnot, but just sometimes just take the L, and it won't be much of a L either if that's the thing I don't get. You have the bigger platform. The only way these quote unquote small fries can bother you is if you bring it up. If you ignore them, not much can happen.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very weird thing. But I came to ask you another question, which was, it has to do with you might have talked about it on Leftist Mafia, but I missed it because I'm so tired these days. But what's your thought on what this weird? I won't say it's a Ukrainian thing because I've seen people from all angles do it. This weird reflexive anti-communist vibe where it led to people giving a rounding applause to a Nazi fossil. What the hell is going on? Why I have to say that's the most online type of behavior I've ever seen, where they were so itching to have some anti-communist thing coming on, where I don't understand. Russia has been communist since what, 1991? So and nobody thought, if you're fighting against the Russians in World War II, the options of what side you were on are rather limited.
Yeah, that.
Somebody explain that to me, please.
Yeah, we talked about this on Leftist Mafia. I mean, this is like a simple, like really simple, like uh, thing. Like it's not hard to to come to terms here with the fact that if someone says they were fighting the Soviets during World War II, they were the bad guys. Very, very simple. Very simple.
It's not difficult stuff.
Right. Right. I
And I'm more than 90
especially, and
Yeah.
it's, yeah, of course, you could bring up that there were things that happened before World War II that could have overlapped, and sure, yes, the Soviets signed a deal with Nazi Germany, but only after they were getting no response of the sort of partnership from England, Britain, and France. So they did it out of like necessity for their own country. And sure, we could say that the Soviets.
I think if we go down the history of it, I'm not
Right.
saying the Soviet Union
But-
or the USSR was perfect, right?
Right.
But everybody was signing deals with flipping Hitler at that time period.
Right.
Forget-
I'm just bringing up all the things that
Yeah.
I've seen people bring up to get to the point that, on top of the guy being cheered for fighting, Soviets, which they just said is Russia, which didn't exist then. He specifically was part of the SS. I mean,
He
you don't get-
volunteered for the SS, like
yeah, like it doesn't get much more blatant than that.
And I think this is born of this weird sort of knee-jerk thing. The knee-jerk thing, which doesn't even make sense because Russia's not communist.
Yeah, they that's not even, don't even bother trying to explain that to
It's not communist. No.
right.
Putin puts out speeches on how he hates Lenin because he quote unquote made the Ukrainian identity. So
Right.
I bet it's kind of weird. Yes, certain tankies online are annoying, but they ain't running Russia. They don't even control foreign policy. I don't know why this reflexive whitewashing of Nazis is going on. And if my history is correct, especially with the Canadian Ukrainians types, right? These are the minorities, right? As in the minority opinion. Most of the Ukrainians were not playing footsie with the Nazis. These
Right,
these are
there were
literally
Ukrainians.
descendants of when World War II ended.
Like this
There
wasn't
were
like
some
all
groups of Nazis who thought they would probably get lighter sentences if they head to the West versus staying in the East with the USSR at the time, or getting murdered by Mossad.
Right, this isn't a situation where like, oh, you have to understand all Ukraine was. No, there were Ukrainians who were fighting the Nazis. Like this was a choice.
He represents a minority of Ukrainians at the time.
Right.
I'm saying, and I know some of you. I want to know. I'm not
Also,
sure.
the Soviets were our allies. If it wasn't for the Soviet Union and the U.S., who knows how World War II would have went? Probably a little bit differently, or scarily enough. I mean, it was,
Yeah. And this is not saying the USSR didn't do bad shit. Of course they did. But I think people have to kind of put this thing into perspective, right? And the mere fact that we're even talking about the USSR when it no longer exists is the other thing that drives me insane. Russia is a neoliberal capitalist hellscape like anywhere else. So I don't know what's going on here. It's very frustrating.
And then, of course, their stupid move just feeds into that whole right-wing and dumb leftist thing where all Ukrainians are Nazis, which is so disgusting and disrespectful to like the everyday average Ukrainian who's just trying to live their life and who has no affiliation with neo-Nazism and white supremacy at all. Like, is there a neo-Nazi problem in the Ukrainian military? I mean, it's quite clear that there are battalions that have are made up of Nazis. It's undoubtedly
that
true.
That is a major concern.
Yeah,
I
but
see
the idea, but then
forward
you
in the
just,
next
but then
10
you just
years
see,
or so.
but then you just see everyone paint them with this huge, oh, Ukrainians are Nazis. It's what good does that do anybody? It's hurting people who are being their countries being invaded. I mean, let those Nazis in the Ukrainian military die fighting in this war. I don't care about them, but to not have sympathy for the men, women, and children who are innocent in this whole thing, who are over there, it's absurd.
No, because they want to make it a simple narrative, right?
Right.
The truth is, especially in modern warfare, from whether it be Afghanistan or whatnot, war generally doesn't produce leftists. It produces right wingers, because those are usually the types you can get to join a military to kill people. So that's the unfortunate truth about it. War produces right wingers like nobody's business. And I do share a lot of people's concerns about the right wing forces in Ukraine getting prominence, because, as you said, they're defending their country, so they'll be legitimately seen as heroes, and that can lead to some political problems down the line for sure.
Right. I think honestly that, and I've said this before, there should be obviously some sort of concession agreement, whatever you want to call it, where this needs to be dealt with when this is all said and done in exchange for this support. I understand that you cannot like go over to the front lines and be like, you guys can't fight for us anymore in the midst of the war. But you gotta do something about them when the time comes. They gotta be.
When I was watching the Republican debate, Tim Scott made some points about, we're not giving the Ukrainians anything. This is a loan. When he said that, that reminded me of my biggest concern about this whole conflict, which is Ukraine is being privatized. Which, to be honest, if the Russians took over, it'd be the same thing. It'd just be Russian neoliberal economics versus Western. The issue is, though, I don't know how this paying back is going to affect them in the long term. And as far as I know, neoliberal economics is also a great way to produce right wingers like nobody's business. So I'm generally concerned. But at the end of the day, it's Russia who opened up all these can of worms for whatever goofy reasons they tried to start this war. And frankly, it's still probably one of the dumbest geopolitical moves I've ever seen, because
I mean, they're still over there. How stupid is that? The fact that they're still over there, it's ridiculous.
Because let's say even if Ukraine didn't get any support, then it'd be more like an Iraq war situation where they would have a guerrilla insurgency for years to come. And then there is the other thing, is they showed their weakness. Many people think Finland and the two other countries that joined NATO did it because of fear of Russia. It was actually the opposite. They didn't fear Russia. It's because Russia showed their ass, and they're like, oh, they can't. If we join NATO, they can't even threaten us. What they're going to do? Invade? So, it is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But anyway, Matt, I'm going to keep it short because I don't want to suck up all the time. Always good talking with you. And keep up the good work.
Same, Dave. Thanks so much. Talk to you again soon. Have a great night.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go back to the phone. I'll take one or two more calls. Let's see how this goes. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Aaron from Grand Island.
Oh, hey, Aaron from Grand Island. First time caller?
No.
What's up? What would you like to talk about, Kowalski?
Damn, he knew. Hey, well,
being that your Skype name shows up on my thing as Aaron Kowalski, it's hard for me not to know it's you when you call.
Shit.
This isn't the majority part where we just see the how many digits is it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9-digit phone number, or whatever it is. 10-digit number, whatever.
Wait, you guys see the whole number? I thought it was just area code.
I think we see the whole number. I'm not sure.
Anywho,
I'm not sure. Now that I think about it, but we definitely see the number. A number.
well, anyways, in your interview today, you were talking about a crazy landlord. Now, as a farmer, we have some crazy landlords too, and I was curious if you'd be interested in a couple of the stories.
Wait, what do you mean? You don't own your farm?
No. We own our farm. It's just some of the land we farm is owned by other people, and we'll either rent or crop share.
Interesting. Tell me about it. Let's hear it.
So we had this old guy. He used to be on the Board of Regents. Total lunatic. But, land, make it work, whatever. We got a call once from our neighbor up in the area who said that the guy was in some trouble because he had totaled his pickup. The reason he totaled his pickup was that he hit a bull that was out at about 45 miles an hour. Hit the animal, square. These things are, huge creatures. What apparently had happened was the bull was out on the road, so the rancher was trying to get it back in, and his son, who was in his 30s, was, stopping traffic. Our landlord, who was like late 70s, saw the guy flagging him down, sped up, went around him, and as he was flying down the road, probably going close to 60, he smashed into the bull. When the sheriff got on the scene, they asked him why he sped up. He thought it was an ambush from illegals.
What?
Yeah. So that was back in like 2017 or 18. I don't know if that's when the caravan thing was going on, but yeah, definitely his mind went to soup. That was pretty funny. Then there was another landlord. He basically believes the earth is flat.
Well, that's not that out of there now that a lot of I've heard that, but it's not so out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so the earth is flat. The moon landing was a fake to scare the Russians, but the Russians also knew the earth was flat. These people have real power in our community, and that's horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I've never been in a situation where like a landlord could affect my living conditions. That would definitely be horrifying. Not sure I could live that way.
Well, welcome to New York City, baby. That's life out here. Yeah.
Wait, you don't own your building?
I wish. I mean, I don't need to own a building. I wish I owned a house or something, but I do not.
Well, houses are still fairly cheap in rural Nebraska, just putting it out there.
Yeah, I mean, if I want to upend my entire family, I guess we could move out there. But I do wish that I was born into a place that wasn't as expensive. Perhaps it would be easier. I wouldn't be so tied to one of the most expensive places on the planet.
Well, I mean, you guys outnumber the landlords like 1,000 to 1.
We should just take over, right? I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, didn't the Bugs Life teach you anything growing up?
The ants
Grasshoppers can get their asses kicked.
What is it? The ants get the what's the thing? The hold on.
It's not about food. It's about keeping the ants in line.
Right. I want to hold on, the Hopper. His name's Hopper, right?
Yeah. Man, it's been a while since I've seen that.
It's a good movie.
I guess you probably should be making your way through these kids shows. You have kids. I'm just an uncle.
Oh, I'm looking up the quote now because it's a good one. All right. Well, I can't find it right now.
But the other thing that I want to
Oh, here it is. Oh, I find it. It's the ants pick the food, the ants, the grasshoppers eat the food, and then it goes to like another line where he says, because I'm just still seeing it, I'm just like seeing it in the IMDb quote section, so it's not the full thing, but you let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Right. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100-1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food, it's about keeping those ants in line. Yeah, that's it right there.
See, the Bug's Life was preparing us for the revolution. They knew.
I mean, that is very revolution. Like that is that's some strong stuff right there.
Wow, is that going to be part of the whole cancel culture because, they're radicalizing the youths?
Right.
Oh,
They've
but the other
radicalized the
thing
youths.
I wanted to talk about just real quick was a lot of people I've noticed are like talking up about like the cost of the Ukraine conflict and like, oh, all this money could have gone towards like like, oh, the problems here at home.
Right.
Here's the issue with that.
This is a stupid thing because it's obviously like,
Well, the weaponry that we're sending them is hand-me-down equipment from the 90s. This stuff is paid for. It was paid by our parents' generations paying taxes in the 90s. This stuff is outdated. It's all sitting in warehouses. Most of it's getting decommissioned, and that actually costs us money. So when we send Ukraine, like the tanks that recently got sent there, those tanks were built 20, 30 years ago. They've had some upgrades, but I mean, these things have already been paid for. We don't need them. Most of the equipment we're also sending them are for a land war in Europe. This is the only thing that these things were basically built to do. They're not something that we have to replace because the only foreseeable conflict is possibly something in East Asia. But we're not sending Ukraine naval vessels. You can't sail a tank across an ocean. It doesn't work. They sink. It's bad. You could send submarines into the ocean, but you can't send those to Ukraine. The rivers aren't deep enough. So, like the whole, it's costing us a lot. It's not. And if you look at like the structure of the quote unquote loans, there's no interest on these loans. And the payback is 30 years from now. So even if you look at like the devaluation of money over time, they'd be worth maybe 1/10 of what they are today. But this is very similar to what we did during World War II, where we just forgave them anyways because it was pointless. We didn't need it to pay us back. So it's costing us almost nothing to disarm our greatest geostrategic enemy on the planet. And at the end of it, Europe isn't going to need us anymore because the only threat on their doorstep is going to be out of weapons. So this is a win no matter how you look at it from any perspective of the American political structure. Like if you're on the right, it's good. If you're on the left, it's technically still good because in the end, they're not going to need America in Europe anymore. So I don't really understand why anybody's like, oh, it's time for us to condition this and start reducing like our support. Ukraine still wants to fight, so let them do it.
yeah, I mean, the idea that like the thing always amazes me is people who are like, "Oh, America is imperialist, trying to control what goes on here, continue this forever war or whatever." It's like this is not a situation where that's that. Like what you're saying is, you want us to intervene so that Ukraine cannot fight for its country. Like that's what you're saying when you say when they say you want America to step away or because Ukraine clearly does not want to give up their land, their home.
Yeah, I do think your whole thing with like if the Azov battalion full of a bunch of, neo-Nazis wants to go fight for Ukraine on the front lines and die, wonderful. It's about as beautiful as when the United States drafted a bunch of Southern segregationists and sent them to go fight the Germans. Like, what is a better use of your segregationists than to go send them after the master race? I couldn't think of a better way to use them, to be honest with you. But no, at the end of it, I also have been seeing that a lot of Ukraine has not gone the nationalist route either, which is very interesting because of the broad support they're getting from across Europe and North America. They actually are developing more of a like oh, what is it? Like a pan-Western ideology. It is actually kind of unique in some ways. So, to Dave from Jamaica, I would not actually think that they're going to go right wing on this. Like, it does seem like that is changing, though it's a conflict in Eastern Europe. Who knows how that's going to pan out? That the place is, it's got a sad history. So, but I mean, if they're still willing to fight for it, I say go for it because there's also some good evidence that the Russians are possibly running low on troops, and Putin is not going to be able to do a second draft anytime soon because his election is in May. And the first round of drafts predominantly hit the minority groups on the periphery, not really the Muscovites. Muscovy is basically the part of Russia that runs from St. Petersburg to Moscow down to the Volgograd. So they don't like touching this area because this is like their economic core and it's where most of the white Russians live. Russia is a very interesting country when it comes to race, but like a lot of the people in the first round of drafts came from like Tardistan and other periphery minority groups. So they can't poll upon these groups anymore. And actually polling like who they believe are ethnic Russians is gonna be that's the kind of thing that could destabilize an authoritarian regime. So the Ukrainians might actually be able to win a war of attrition if they're not willing to bite that bullet. So I'm just saying that the situation is complicated. So that, and I do think that the Ukrainians are being smart on this one. Like that they seem to have a good game plan. Just putting it out there.
Right. I mean, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, that's all that really. I mean, I don't think anyone thought it would go on for this long. I mean, Russia said they would have it done in a what a few months, if not weeks, at first. Remember that?
Yeah, that was my God, what a people like smoking their own product or something, man. Like propaganda is not good. Then again, we did have the whole mission accomplished meme from George W., and that didn't pan out very well either. So,
Right, but you really want to hold George W. up as a. He's not exactly a good reference if you want to compare.
all right, here's the deal. Putin gets sent to The Hague. We will send George W. Bush to The Hague. We will meet them in the middle. A war criminal from them and us. Both empires give their war criminals up to The Hague. We'll let them sort it out. Sounds good to me.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, man. That's all I really had to say, unless you want me to talk about like some agricultural stuff, but I don't think you're in the mood for it.
We'll do it another night.
Sounds good. Well, you have a good one.
Take care. I'll take one more call, but first, got some Patreons. Actually, the reason I didn't read Patreons before is because we haven't got any patrons in the past week. But my plea, some people, for members, some people so generously joined. GHO, thank you. Mohammed, thank you so much. And Richard H., thank you so much. All of you for becoming patrons. Still a number of patrons behind from where we were. If you can and you're not a patron subscriber, patreon.com/MattBinder to help grow this show. I really appreciate the support. All right, who do we got here? Let's see. Still a number of patrons. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? So if you.
Hello?
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt. This is This is Timur calling from Mississauga, Ontario, in Canada.
Hey, Tamora, how you doing? What was it to talk about?
Yeah, great to be back on. I called you a couple of months ago, and I don't know if you remember. I may have made some remarks that were a little too sycophantic, so don't worry, won't be doing that this time.
I don't remember, but I'll believe you.
Um, yeah, I wanted to pass along some. Well, first of all, let me congratulate your country for getting on board the changing the speaker train.
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot that you guys had recently done the same.
Yeah, it's interesting that subject came up. Uh, I can't remember when, like sometime in the last hour. Yeah, but we have picked a new speaker.
Oh,
And,
is
yeah,
one that doesn't give shout outs to Nazis?
I don't know. It's early days. It's early days.
Right.
I can tell you his name is Greg Fergus. He's a, I guess, well, he's a Liberal MP now. Has to no longer be Liberal while he's being Speaker. He is the first Black Speaker in our House. So that's pretty significant. And he was just a quick reminder. He's replacing the guy you mentioned there, Anthony Rhoda, who invited that person in, whose name I can't remember, thankfully. I don't know what the consequences are going to be for that, but certainly resignation is certainly the least he could do, although it wasn't immediate. I would say he wasn't voted out, so that's one difference we have from what took place yesterday, which I'd say was, as a Canadian, I'll admit, it was fun to watch. But yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what happens in your house now. Who takes over? I can't imagine who I have an idea who the front runners are, but
I think I saw that Jason Jordan and Steve Scalise are running. So you got two terrible people.
Yep.
But I mean, we're talking about Republicans here, so it's not like you had good choices. Like there could potentially be good choices.
Right. Well, I have some other bit of a little political history up here. I don't know if you know, we had an election in Manitoba yesterday, and the Conservative Party lost. They were replaced by the New Democrats, and the guy who leads the NDP is a guy called Wab Kinew, and he is
Wab Kinew.
Yeah, he's gonna be the first Indigenous premier in our country.
Oh, he's okay. I misunderstood the name you were saying.
Yeah, it's he's from the Onigaming First Nation. He was born in Ontario, but he lives in Winnipeg, and he's been a more or less lifelong Manitoban, and he's been the leader of the NDP for I think nearly 7 years now, and they, like I said, they won their election yesterday. He replaces Heather Stephenson as premier, or he will be, he's premier elect. He will be anointed soon enough. But it's, I mean, that's pretty good news given that a lot of the provinces up here are led by Conservatives. So it's good to see one province, particularly in the prairies, sort of going in the opposite direction. I'm not saying that the NDP are like. I know there's a perception that of the three main factions, and this is not the same NDP that is led in the federal level by Jagmeet Singh, but there is that sort of affiliation, as it were. There's some people that say they're the more of the three main political parties, the NDP, Liberals and Conservatives. They're seen as being more on the left than the other two. I don't know how it breaks down to provincial levels. I'm not 100% familiar with his politics, but he'll still be a darn sight better than 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 the conservatives, which is pretty much that's a given for any of them. The Heather Stephenson, who I said was the premier, she took over from a guy called Brian Pallister, who retired a couple years ago, and she's been leading that for 2 years. She's been sort of anti-COVID mandates. I don't know about anti-vaccine mandates. I think she may have been. I'm not gonna make any comments on the convoy. I don't want to get caught up in all of that, but she's shown her kind of anti-indigenous bona fides certainly in the last little while, because there's been at least one, no doubt a couple more instances where there've been reports of a few indigenous women who were had gone missing, presumed dead. I think they had been, actually in this case they were dead, because I think there was a belief that they were left in a landfill somewhere, and there was a push for the police to search the landfill, and they refused. And then people were petitioning for the premier to kind of force the issue, and she said, I don't remember what exactly, but you can insert any platitude. It basically means not worth our time. So, and it's an opinion that's backed by quite a few in her party. So frankly, it's for so many reasons, it's great to see them get their comeuppance. And I would say it's not, in terms of like the prairies being very right, they're on the very low end of that. The real heartland of that is Alberta, of course, which is, is always referred to as the Texas of the North. It's more like Florida, I have to say, under Danielle Smith. But I don't know. I like to think that this Manitoba election, well, I hope it sets a precedent. I hope it makes some people sweat a little. I don't know when any upcoming elections are, but definitely I should think that, I hope that people look at this recent bit of history and take some influence from that and say, let's make that happen here. It's obviously not going to happen in my province because we don't have another election for 3 years. So another 3 more years, unfortunately, of Doug Ford, who finds himself dealing with one scandal after another. He's finally had to concede on the building on the Greenbelt issue. I don't think that's going to happen, but he's still got a highway. He wants to build this highway on environmental. I don't know if environmentally protected land, but certainly it's not in the Greenbelt like what this housing scheme that he had was, but it's another one of these projects that has negative environmental projected impacts, and people have been protesting against it. And he doesn't care. He's got a deal in place. He wants to enrich himself much way he was going to on this housing scheme. So, that's it's my province. That's how I live. But next door in Manitoba, it's good news there.
Yeah, I feel like people are learning a lot more about Canada than they thought. Everything's perfect in Canada, I thought.
Well, it was until I don't know. Some of us started listening to Donald Trump a little bit, and then the convoy was drenched in Trumpism, whether they want to admit it or not. The whole sentiments around that. I mean, they were hanging. I think someone hung. God, I hope I'm not misremembering this. They were definitely like MAGA 2020 flags in various parts of as they made their way to Ottawa. Some people had Confederate flags. I think one of them hung one of these things on the statue of Terry Fox, which is one of our most iconic, celebrated icons. But please don't quote me on that, because these are the details that I'm.
Oh, I'm gonna let everybody know that Timur said that this is exactly what happened. No, I'm just... No, it's yeah. Yeah. I won't quote you on that. But Tamor, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Always like to know what's going on.
Oh yeah,
In
thank you very much. And listen, I just want to say, I'm, I would love to subscribe to your Patreon. Unfortunately, I can't afford it at this point.
Oh
But
no,
as soon as I can,
you don't gotta worry about it. I want to make it clear when I ask for people to subscribe, I'm talking to people who can afford it. If you can't, you just tell people about the show, stuff like that. That helps too. Don't worry about it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge fan. Love listening
Thank you
as
so much. I
much as I
appreciate
can.
it.
I haven't listened the last couple of weeks because we had I've been dealing with some stuff lately. We had someone in our family passed away, so I've been
Oh,
kind
I'm
of dealing
sorry
with
to hear
that.
that.
So yeah, it's been interesting learning about the aftermath of that in terms of paperwork and administration and blah blah blah. It's not quite done yet. It's only been a month. And but life is starting to get back to normal. So yeah, thought I had to
I'm
thought I
glad you
should come
called in
back
though.
and see
Yeah.
what's going on in the Matt Binder universe.
There you go. It's always you could always jump on. You're always welcome back into the Matt Binder universe. So don't worry about it. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much, Matt. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Take care. You too. All right. Let me read some super chats here. Where did they go? Where did this feed go? All right, cool. Some super chats. Kowalski with a super chat. Brains with some brain emojis. Can I pull them up on the? I'll see about pulling them up on the feed here. All right, cool. Especially when the ones with the emojis. Gotta show those, right? Spin me a sailcloth with a super chat. Are they just ripping off a combination of End Times, Zombie, Planet of the Apes? What on earth compels these people to completely let go of reality? I mean, boredom, the need to feel important, the need to answer questions that they need answered, but they don't want to accept the answers that are out there that are true and given to them or that they come across. There's a lot of reasons, honestly. For Resto with a super chat, we'll get into more of it on this show, obviously. For Resto with a super chat, a lot of people talk about workplace authoritarianism, but I feel like not enough people talk about landlord fiefdom mentality. Yeah. Sir Lava says, why wasn't Gary hiding from the city of zombies? Yeah, I know. Kowalski says that landlord is a communal risk during Halloween. Oh, yeah. Keep your kids away, especially if they go as zombies. Carol Funk with a super chat. Great last name. Related to Terry? I was impressed when I saw an alert going out to victims of abuse that may have a second phone warning them about the alert. Wait, what? I didn't see that. Interesting. That is impressive. I did not know that they did that. For Resto with a super chat, I once had a landlord who gave my room to his mom for a few days without telling me or getting permission. I popped my own air mattress to remove her. What? Are you serious? What? Wanda with a $10 super chat. All Virginia Senate and House seats will be up for election on November 7th. Early voting has started. If GOP retakes both chambers, abortion will be banned by Youngkin. If you live in Virginia, get out the vote. Yes, please do so. Wanda, keep us updated, by the way. Evan from Portland with a $10 super chat. For Justin, there are tenant protections even in Kentucky. Find a lawyer that wants to make their name and unionize. Hansi with a super chat. Should Speaker of House be the anonymous Raw GM? They should do that. They should go with the anonymous Raw GM. That would be. I remember those days in wrestling. Those were bad days. Bad days. Where are we at time wise? Going 2 hours and 40 minutes, huh? I'll take one final last call if you want to call in. I saw there were some people trying to call in before. One final last call. Spacco was trying to call in earlier while I was talking to other people, but then when I was off the line, he wasn't calling in. Miss Spacco. We'll get you next time, buddy. Kowalski with a super sticker. Thank you so much. What super sticker we got here? We got the classic Pear giving me a cup of coffee. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on? It's Henzy.
Henzy, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What would you have to talk about?
No, that's cool. Thanks for having me on, man. With the I got zombies chasing me in the background, but I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me?
No, you're. Oh wait, there you. Oh wait, I see you now. It wasn't showing up for a second. Wow, Hansi really is. It happened over there where Hansi is. He is living amongst the Walking Dead.
What the well, yo, listen. The thing is, with the raw GM thing I just sent you, like, dude, it wouldn't surprise me if that's like the heat they're going for, and then it'll be revealed that Trump is behind it. Like that's like, dude, you already have like, what's his name, Rand Paul showing up for Congress in robes. It's like, how much do you want to do the pro wrestling comparisons to politics now? You know what I mean? Like we're really getting close to like somebody clobbering somebody, or you know what I mean? I'm telling you, this is gonna be physical altercations are gonna happen, and there's gonna be theme music. There's gonna be a whole thing going on.
Right. Yeah.
What the no? Okay. Well, that didn't tickle your fancy. I'm sorry for the reference.
I do love that was a great callback. The Raw GM. By the way.
You know, I mean, I think I think you could have done a good reveal for that, because I didn't mind when it turned out to be Hornswoggle. It became like it became like, okay, this is fucking stupid. I thought the whole time it was gonna be Triple H that was puppeteering a takeover.
I gotta go back and forth with the charges here, but go ahead,
Can you hear
Hansi.
me?
I hear you now. Yep.
No, I was gonna say that if the reveal was Triple H puppeteering and doing a takeover of WWE, that's where I thought it was gonna go with the whole anonymous Raw GM thing. Whenever that happened, I thought it was gonna be a reveal that Triple H was like he was behind the Nexus, and then eventually during the Authority angle, they were gonna reveal a bunch of the stuff that Triple H was behind to take over the authority, to take over the company essentially. And I just thought by making Hornswoggle the fucking reveal, that was like the stupidest fucking thing on the planet. But um, by the way, I enjoyed your guest, because because listen, I know the only other conspiratorial person you might talk to is me, like at least when I call in, but I don't
No,
like.
I don't consider. Listen, I don't consider you to be. I mean, you say that you were, but I don't. I think you
No, but
bring.
no, but I still listen. The thing is, when I said last week, okay, well, yo, I could buy that there's cloning going on and all that kind of shit. You're like, no, turn that off, turn it off. But I'm like, listen, there's people on the left that who who are common sense people, right? But like I feel like a lot of people on the left, you guys buy into the sports entertainment of the right wing infighting, when it's gonna all result in the finger poke of doom, and they're all gonna reveal that they're on the same fucking side. And I feel like by everyone, it forces everyone to take a side. Like, well, I don't like DeSantis, he's a fascist, but he really did get Trump with this one. Or Trump's a fascist too, but you know what? Meatball Ron, that's an awesome fucking, like, you know what I mean? I just don't buy. I think that's one mistake that the left does, is fall for for the infighting that I feel is scripted, in my personal opinion. That's where I think they're all on the same fucking page, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the reason I called, because somebody mentioned Jenk and Hassan, whatever. I still been paying attention to TYT because I like to see how progressive some of the stories will be with some stuff, and how much they're pivoting to the right. And lately, Anna Kasparian has gone on like a sophisticated anti-blackness type of fucking tirade by using, like, and I'll explain. It might not seem like it, but if again, this is why I say you shouldn't fall for a lot of this billionaire funded fake viral, not fake viral. It's actually happening. But I do think that billionaires definitely put money on the street. I personally think that they're the ones that are on some level, they're bankrolling different quote unquote high crime to take place, so that all you see on social media, and you go, well, the mainstream media won't talk about that. Now, am I saying I'm 100% right? But I find that these conversations now, she's the one that promoted a lot of these viral Karen videos, and didn't care about the context and any of that. Now she's doing apologia for, oh my god, I was so wrong about this Karen video. And maybe not everyone is racist. Maybe everyone that's claiming to be racist is kind of exaggerating. And then she's going off about, and then other stories, she's going off about how, like, oh, the left is intolerant other people's political views in schools. And she's going down the typical tropes that every right winger starts off with, like Chicago or the schooling. But then she's saying that people are intolerant of views. She's the one that said that she can't speak to anyone on the left anymore. She's the one that said that she can't. Oh, I'm afraid to speak outside my race because I might be called a racist. And she's going on these very vitriolic rants about, like, that looter in Philly who, like, everyone was stealing phones. So it feels, and by the way, they didn't even cover the initial shooting where that incident was taking, like, about the initial incident, right? She chose to cover the lootings over the fucking shooting, and she's doing it to basically go, like I just feel like this normalization of, like, using these viral videos that I believe are funded is to basically prepare themselves for when the next time there's a big ass riot because of the racial injustice going on. They're definitely that's going to be when they officially make their right wing pivot, because they're not going to be on the side of the protesters. They're already she's already misrepresented what happened at Burning Man by saying that, like, she goes a couple of months ago, hey, you shouldn't when you're attacking Riley Gaines, you shouldn't protest this way. Protest peacefully, blah blah blah. When they're protesting peacefully at Burning Man and the cops ran them over, she's like, why are you picking Burning Man as your target anyways? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just noticing more and more, and it's actually becoming very, very fucking scary with how fucking, like, heelish it's all. And by the way, she even mentioned on her show she started watching WWE. So to me, can you imagine her watching WWE? It seems like she's also now amplifying more of a vitriolic heel fucking turn, essentially. Like, it's getting really, really fucking scary. And I know we shouldn't make leftist conversations about TYT, but as long as they're the ones keep saying we're the fairest show in America, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're the cool people, and every story always results with, by the way, I didn't see anyone on the left. I didn't see Matt Binder. I didn't see Surfs. I didn't see any of you guys justifying or defending why people are looting stores in Philly. I never saw any of you guys justifying that. She just turns it into, oh, people on the left are giving safe haven for these criminals all the time, and I'm sick of it. I'm going to speak out, basically. And I just think that's fucking scary. And I do think, like, I know we shouldn't focus on them solely, but it does need to be called out, because the aim that they're going at, they're making it seem like they're like a threat to the system, basically. Like, they love doing their Trump level shit. Like she's worried about
Like,
crime.
I personally just don't care enough about these instances of looting. I mean, why am I gonna care about these large businesses, these large companies who have insurance, who the Apple stuff, who with their phones, they're gonna find every single one of the people who took those phones. Why care about that unless you're gonna talk about the reason why people were looting in that instance? Like, to focus on the business, like, who cares? I don't care. I don't care about the it's just not important. It's just not important. The important issue, if you're going to talk about it, is why the looting occurred. What was the cause? What was the reason for these people doing what they were doing? That's not like, to me, that's the only relevant thing here.
She you know well the clip that she showed was a streamer named Meatball from Twitch who was at the looting thing, and she's screaming free iPhones, and then later on, because her lawyer was like trying to, like, what lawyers do, give the best representation for their client, even if you know they're not doing something completely right. What's it called? She used that as an example of going, see, this is how you scare protesters who do that kind of stuff. You threaten them with jail and all. Like, she's going in that direction, and it's like fair. It's, to me, the reason why this worries me, bro, and the normalization and sophisticated ways of using the internet to make it seem like it's the underground facility, is I always wondered how the fuck could people have got normalized with fucking hatred, and what happened with Hitler and all that kind of stuff, right? Now I'm seeing it in real time how sophisticated the fucking fundamentalism is normalizing itself. And I feel like by using viral videos and also puppet entertainers who, get involved with political causes, whatever, it helps manufacture consent for when you. So, like, if you're focused on like a sensationalist trans story, you're not going to give a shit that the laws passing are going to ban trans people from doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to, like, I personally have a theory that some of these, like the suspect drag queen stories where there's kids and there's sexualized shit going on, I personally believe that those are right wing drag queens. But I mean, who loves drag queens more than closeted right wingers? So to me, what's it called? If right wing people are fucking accusing people addressing drag of being predators, yeah, you know what that means? It doesn't mean that trans people or people who doesn't drag are predators. It means the people that you hang out with are the ones that are fucking predators. And maybe that's why they're predators, not because they're drag queens. Maybe because you're hanging out with them and you're using them for viral videos to sensationalize some fucking fake story so you can manufacture the fucking exodus of fucking trans people or LGBTQ people. That's just my little theory. I'm not saying that I'm right, but I personally feel like a lot of these funded billionaire fucking viral videos and people think it's real because, oh, that can't be Hollywood or billionaire funded. It was on an iPhone. Dude, everything is compromised in my personal opinion. That's why I'm saying you got to be careful with that. And your outlet's the only one outlet where I can come and vent, because at least at least if you don't agree that I'm saying that this stuff is funded, at least you're not seeing that I'm going in my conspiracy way to regress and going, yeah, the conspiracy is that the LGBTQ agenda is taking over and gay people are the most evil people on the planet, whatever, like that. So people can call me a conspiracy theorist. That's fine. That's cool. But I'm not going to use my conspiratorial shit to go in the more regressive fucking way. I'm going to use it to progress, even if you don't agree with what I say, basically. And I apologize for going off on a tangent. And I'm glad you let me on. I know you're tired and all that. I'll leave, whatever. But I just wanted to, like, give you a shout out. Thanks for having me on, bro. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, and I think you made a lot of great points. I don't think I mean, is there sort of funding going to various different organizations and groups to spread a certain narrative or talking point? Of course, I don't necessarily think it's as widespread into every issue. I don't think it's seeping all over the place. I do think just naturally there are just a number of right-wing beliefs that are so prevalent on the right that it seems like sometimes, oh, this must be like funded or something, when a lot of times it's just that, like, that meme they like to spread around where, like, liberals are all NPCs and doing the current thing. The funny thing is that's like them. Like, they are lock and step on the same topics. Nowadays, you don't even they don't even need to fund it. They just know they put something out there, and the right wing mind will flock to it with the same exact thought process. And yeah, but I think other than that, I think you made a lot of great points. I mean, I think certainly there is some funding going on. I just don't want to. I think it's not always helpful to just say, "Oh, there must be some sort of money behind it," because unfortunately, there are people who don't need the money. They actually believe these things. Now, I don't mean they don't need the money as in they're rich. I mean they certainly probably could use the money, but they don't. They're not in it for the money. They are true believers. These are the beliefs. They do it for free.
No, I get you. Listen, bro, I get you. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like I feel like we're like I've said multiple times on your show. I feel like when I noticed a rewriting of history in the sense that I noticed that in the 90s there seemed to be like a pro-blackness going on in the 90s, and then towards like I feel like the O.J. Simpson thing and the Rodney King thing, it started like seeping in where like people like for example if somebody who's black was like let's say and he's a regular person and he's not like happy that OJ Simpson got away with it, but maybe because he's been through getting stop and profile and he didn't do anything. Sometimes when you see someone who's black who might like beat the system, you're like, oh look, a guy who beat the system, even though it's like a celebrity shit. So people would then always use like, oh, why do black people always fall for fundamentalism? Why do they always fall for Farrakhan? And it's like, well, Farrakhan as this fundamentalist shit that you're saying, but there's also stuff that resonated that no one in the political world was talking about that resonated with them. But at the same time, people will say will like label black people like, oh, they're the ones who fall for this kind of stuff. But then I'm watching society in general, like you don't like you want to consider Howard Stern a fundamentalist, but when you have callers from the army calling into your show talking about putting Howard Stern's name on bombs that they sent over to terrorists. That is as fundamental as you can get. But for some reason, whenever it's a white fucking person, they can have all the fundamentalist views on the fucking planet, and that's why sometimes you have black people pushing back about, oh, why is it that the thing that I'm into, the person that I've listened to, you're accusing me of being fun? Like, why is it accusing me of liking Kanye? Now I'm anti-Semitic, whatever. And you can call it Kanye West, whatever. But I'm just noticing more now in like 2020, where now the early 2000s part is where now it's like you're denying that there's any racism going on. When in the 90s, at least there was an open conversation a little bit of having that, and now I feel like we're regressing back. Now a bunch of people like TYT are doing stories about, oh, the Karen video that I propped up to make money. Now there's more context that it wasn't a racial situation at all. And now what's it called, claims of racism, maybe it's getting out of control. Oh, these diversity, equity, inclusion seminars where it says that the corporation will have black women slap a white woman and call her Karen. Oh, is that going to help? It just feels like when they say that they're going to address racism, it feels like the sensationalist stories are being out there. So it makes people think that calling out racism is getting out of control. And that's like the overall narrative I'm seeing between like Ian Miles Chong or whatever posting nonstop anti-blackness, whatever, and all that kind of stuff, or other accounts doing that. That's why I feel like some of this shit could be funded on some level. You don't gotta pay people much. All you gotta do is say it'll go social media viral, and people will take that because that has currency now. Apparently, you know what I mean. But again, I don't want to hold you up anymore, bro. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate you. I'm gonna get off, but I appreciate your work, man, and I thank you for letting me on all the time.
No,
Peace out.
always love when you call in, Hansi. Great conversation. Have a great night. All right, folks. Super chat from Foresto. Oh, about the landlord who gave their room to his mom for a few days without telling them. His logic was, I work nights and she sleeps nights. Oh my God. The mindset of some of these people. Oh my God. Oh, over on Twitch. Oh, we lost subscribers on Twitch too. Jeez. Don't forget to renew your your Twitch Prime subscriptions, folks. Down Jeez, like 25 Twitch subscribers on top of being down like 15 patrons. Oof, bit rough month already. Starting off rough. We gotta get us back on track here, right? We got Amused Mob. Resubscribe with Prime. Subscriber for 15 months. Thank you so much, Amused Mob. I quit my soul-sucking job last week, and now I'm a zombie. At least I got to enjoy some sort of time off before Joe the Necromancer Biden did this to all of us. Here we go. Let's get it done. Subscribe with Prime. Thank you so much. Ponderosa Pine. Subscribe for 1 month at Tier 1. Subscriber for 21 months. Liberalism manifests itself in various ways to let things slide for the sake of peace and friendship when a person has clearly gone wrong and refrain from principled argument because he is an old acquaintance, a close friend, a loved one, or to touch on the matter lightly instead of going into it thoroughly so as to keep on good terms. The result is that both the organization and the individual are harmed. This is one type of liberalism. Mao, combat liberalism. Well, guess I'm following the words of of Mao here. Robot Monkey Cat resubscribed for 1 month at Tier 1. Subscriber for 23 months. 1 month away from 2 years, Robot Monkey Cat. Thank you. Day of the Dead is my personal fave. A non-Romero zombie film that I adore is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things from 1972. Happy Halloween, everyone. I'll have to check that out. A rare horror movie I haven't seen. Slice Keeper asks, when Scam Economy episode? You didn't even pay for that one, but you caught my attention. I'll be having some Scam Economy episodes coming soon. Especially with that FTX stuff going on. Without a doubt, we'll be... Kowalski with a super chat. Let's get Matt a good fourth quarter revenue, folks. Yep, that's right. Fourth quarter rolling around. We need to pump up those revenue numbers for the shareholders. Absolutely. All right, folks. Tomorrow, Majority Report. Tomorrow, Leftist Mafia. I really am trying to work out getting more content up, for real. Let's see what I can do. I am working on that Scam Economy stuff as well, for those wondering. I will see all of you either tomorrow, if you're watching MR or Leftist Mafia, or I'll catch you next week. But, who am I rating over on Twitch? Who's on right now? Who's on right now? Let's see. All right, why don't you all give me someone? Who should I rate on Twitch? I want someone, give me someone new. Who's on Twitch right now? Caroline Kwan's on. I saw she's on. Who else is on? Echoplex Media. That's a good one. Who else is on? You know what? Let's do Echoplex Media. It's been a while. Been a while. So let's get Echoplex Media. All right, folks. I will see you all either tomorrow or next time on Doomed.